This, what is it, Patrick Maurice? Is that the guy's name? Something Maurice? Chevalier? Whatever his name is? Paul Maurice, yeah. Has he ruined a good thing? I mean, they swing the big deal. They get rid of Hoobie Doobie, who was a real catalyst last year, but people deemed him to be too soft to win a championship. They bring in a guy, Kachuk, who's a dynamite player and has done nothing wrong. I mean, he's got like 17, 18 goals. He's a real menace in front of the net there, tough as nails. And a good guy to have on your team, and he brings that physicality. So that looks like a move that should have made the team better. No, they were dynamite last year. They sucked this year. Sitting there sub 500 with this guy, Maurice. And he doesn't have much to say after these games, right? It's almost like the French Joe Philbin. I hope people appreciate this stuff. Yeah, he is. He's Joe Philbin speaking French. Parlez-vous français? Philbin. Right? French. They end everything with that. That's kind of how the team is playing.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
I think since we made that statement, that observation about Paul Maurice being the French Joe Philbin, the Panthers have been kind of rolling. Kachuk now has 22 goals. So he had a hat trick and then a couple last night as they beat the Phoenix Coyotes. Is it the Arizona Coyotes? What do they even call the Coyotes? The Coyotes are a non-entity in the NHL. How did the Seattle Kraken, I think they just reeled off like a 5-game winning streak, Libby, the Seattle Kraken. You follow them at all? No. They were an expansion team brought in. And one thing about the National Hockey League, most leagues, when they bring in an expansion team, they have no chance. Witness the now Miami Marlins, who somehow by fluke managed to win a couple of championships, but in every other year have missed the playoffs except that COVID hybrid year that they had going, where for 60 games they were actually pretty good and made you think, wow, I mean, this team's really going in the right direction, right? How wrong were we about that? They just signed that guy, Cueto. I think he's been in the league 100 years. He broke in with Steve Carlton. He's going to be a big linchpin in their rotation next year. That was it, right? They brought in the shortstop from Philadelphia to play third base. So they're still going to have Miggy, who we love dearly, but I don't know, like the 240 out of your shortstop, who's getting up there in years, is really something that the fans are going to get all excited about. Can you really get excited about opening day for the Marlins, Libby? We used to go on an annual schlep down there. We do a radio show in the morning from 6 to 10, even though the game wasn't going to be till 4 o'clock. That was always a lot of fun. With the promise that, don't worry, man, I'm going to run a million guests up there to the radio booth, and we'd be lucky to get an interview with the cleaning lady. In fact, I think if Doc Reno didn't show up, who was it? There was somebody else that was, Rick Sanchez, right? Wasn't he doing a show on WIOD at the time?
Yep.
That was like our big interview. With 5 years of being an opening day, I think we had one interview with Rick Sanchez, who was working at the radio station, albeit a different one, but part of the fabled iHeart cluster here in Miami. So that was about it. Hard to get excited about opening day, right? I mean, I was thinking about that. I've gone to a couple of opening days, in different capacities. Of course, 1993, everybody wanted to be there when the team opened up. And then 97, when they won the championship, there was reason, as Jimi Hendrix would say, just the opposite. No reason to get excited. There was plenty of reason to get excited. We thought, wow, this team's on the cusp, right there, making something happen. They did it. And then it was a disaster after that in 1998. I do remember going to some games, as that was the last year of my season ticket holding tenure. And I remember looking in a drawer and saying, wow, look at all these beautiful season tickets, right? Because they printed out the hard ticket and everything. And I'm looking at this stack of tickets and I'm thinking, I haven't been to like 5 games. So I started going to a few games. Did we have Walt Weiss at shortstop back then? Was that 98 or was that in the beginning? I'm not sure.
It was the beginning. I don't know if he went all the way to 98. I mean, he was right around 97.
If you were a diehard baseball fan, I mean, if you were really the George Will type and you said, well, I'm really going to see this through. And I had stripped everything down. Wayne was sick of the team, sold the team, eventually. And then in 2003, they win another championship with Josh Beckett and all of these young Tigers that they had on the pitching staff. So that was pretty good. And then nada ever since. They started to make some moves, and it looked like they were going to have a pretty good team, right, when they had Stanton and Ozuna and Yelich and a bunch of other Real Muto. I mean, they had the core of a really good team, did they not? At that point, but of course they couldn't sustain it because nobody went to the games, and that was it. Disappeared, and there's zero excitement. I would think opening day, you want to go what to the second game when there's only like 3,000 people there, and you can sit anywhere. They don't even sell out opening day in like a 30,000 seat stadium. That's a disgrace. Unbelievable. So you would have to say that franchise is tantamount to a complete and total failure, except for the aberration of having 2 championships during a period of time where the Mets, who were spending their eyeballs out, have what? One? No, none during that period of time. They won in what? 1986 was their last title? Unbelievable. So, no, they've accomplished something that some other teams haven't been able to do, but at this point, they're not even a distant consideration. Florida Panthers, we're heading in that same direction, were they not, Mike Lubie Lubitz? Which
Yes.
is unfortunate because this Bill Zito was a genius last year. Absolutely every move he made, you looked at and you said, he became one of my favorite Zitos. Right behind Nick Zito, the trainer, and Mike Zito, the musician. Barry Zito, he just blew right by Barry Zito, who made a lot of money for doing nothing after having a very solid career leading up to that point. That was another one of those guys where, I mean, holy Hideki Irabu, right? Signs a giant, no pun intended, fat contract with the Giants and ends up doing Zippo, right? Came in like long relief in some series game, and everybody was like, yeah, see that? He's worth $120 million. He pitched the 6th and 7th. Only gave up 4 runs. Wasn't bad. Poor Barry. What happened to him, right? Just completely lost it.
Yes. Yeah, he fell off a cliff.
In coincidence, in conjunction with signing that giant deal, which at the time was outrageous. Now you get this if you're a scrub second baseman, $120 million for a few years of playing ball. All right, what is the single biggest thing that causes basketball coaches at any level, Mike Lubie Lubitz, even when you're talking about your little kids that you were coaching, to lose sleep and have nightmares? What is the single biggest consideration outside of the obvious winning and losing? But what would you think contributes to some of the sickest and most despicable losses that a coach can incur? Basketball.
Injuries? Well, in this
No,
game,
no.
I'm getting injuries.
This is something that happens during the course of the game.
Okay.
Part of the play of the game.
Okay. No clue.
No idea. All right.
No
It's early in the morning yet. I mean, this is like the degenerate SATs. If an executive pays $19.20 and you have it 6.5 times, how much money did you make if you had already been down $37? And we would just sit there and click them right up. Okay, yeah, that's $28.60. No problem. Free throws, Lubie. Missed free throws.
Yeah.
We've asked Jim Larinaga about that. Jim Larinaga, the epitome of calm, the basketball coach and longtime college basketball coach. We asked Rick Pitino about that. Any basketball coach we've ever had on a show, we always ask them, hey, have you lost sleep over missed free throws? And they all say the same thing. And then they can go back and recall some brick that some freshman threw up there like 16 years ago that cost the team a chance at the conference championship or whatever. So it was remarkable what happened last night at whatever they now call the Heat's home arena. The Bankman Fraud Arena, whatever that is.
Still calling it FTX because there's nothing else to call it.
How about that, man? The company's out of business. The CEO is going to jail for 50 years. And you're stuck with the name because you sold your soul to the devil for this Bitcoin stuff. Unbelievable. But the Heat last night against Oklahoma City, Lubie, what do you want to say they were from the free throw line? Take a guess.
Well, I know. I actually watched it through the end. So
you watched it? Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was stressful.
40 for 40.
I know.
Including a game winner by Jimmy Butler at the wire there that gave them a 1-point win. I mean, if they miss 2 free throws out of 40, that they shoot 38 for 40 from the stripe, and in all likelihood, they lose this game, at least by doing the math. 112, 111, with 40 made free throws out of 40 attempts, including 23 of 23 from Jimmy Butler in a game. That's a weird game, huh? That's an Iverson type of game?
Yes.
You score 35 points. 23 of them come from the foul line.
Well, after the Nets,
it means he only had 12 other points in the game.
Yeah.
A 12-point game where you would look at from the field and say, well, what is that garbage, Jimmy? Come on. How about stepping it up?
He was a little off. I mean, actually, down the stretch, when they were trying to create some separation, he missed a bunny runner and he missed a layup. Like, I think he was a guy. I mean, he must have played a lot. They were missing 4 starters.
They were down to 7 guys. Did UD get some minutes? Because I didn't realize this.
He's
Udonis
supposed to.
Hasselman already played 37 minutes in the first half of the season. This was the first game of the second half. If you just go by the number of games played, they had played 41 games. They were 21-20, and now 22-20. The Miami Heat in the 8th spot in the East, with 2 and a hook, I think, over the 10th place team. So the thought that they might miss the playoffs, I don't know. That doesn't seem like a likely possibility, does it, Lubie? I'm thinking they make the playoffs somewhere. Better team than they have shown. 4 starters out last night. Jimmy Butler does play in a ball game, and goes 23 of 23 from the stripe as the team goes 40 for 40. What do you think Eric Spoelstra had to say after that game? I didn't get a chance to see any post-game comments. In fact, I knew nothing about the game until I woke up this morning and saw Heat set record at free throw stripe. And I'm thinking, what kind of record could that be? Holy Bill Sharman. They go 40 for 40 from the line. That is amazing. They were averaging 22 and a half free throws per game, so they almost doubled that total. I don't think Oklahoma City even went to the stripe the entire ball game, so the officials clearly overwhelmingly biased in Miami's favor, trying to get Pat Riley a win. Without 4 starters, and also Dedmon got ejected during the game.
Did you see that? That was fun. He threw some stuff after losing it with Spoelstra and stormed off.
Yeah, Chris Dedmon, he had been like a real pleasant surprise after being picked up by the Heat. Dead man walking if he gets called for a travel. But he hasn't played great this year. I think he's been nursing an injury all season long. He's been a little bit off his game. And was he was angry with Spoelstra? Because that's interesting, because I was reading some stuff about the Heat where, he had dropped out of the rotation, his spot.
Yeah.
It was being taken up by another guy. So maybe he got out there on the floor, made a couple of mistakes, right? And that's how we got ejected, by throwing
this young guy Robinson has played really well, Orlando Robinson. And a lot of Heat fans have called for him to get minutes. He actually started over Dedmon. And early in the game, I didn't get what happened. I've seen the altercation. And Spoelstra it's funny because Spoelstra looks tiny compared to these guys, but he doesn't care. Like, he goes at it with LeBron, Wade, Zoe. Like, he just doesn't.
The LeBron thing, when LeBron, just deliberately hit him like he was Serena Williams walking during an exchange and bumping into an opponent, and they were totally indignant and ridiculously egomaniacal fashion, where she, steamrolls over like Camilla Giorgi, who weighs like 87 pounds. Serena, looking like she should be in a tag team. For Vince McMahon. Flattened some little girl on her way around the exchange because she's pissed she lost her serve. But I don't want to get into that again. Remember when we used to fight with Tony Segreto? He's going to join us later on about the whole Serena thing in the U.S. Open. Now some of it we were just putting Tony on because we like to do that. But at the same time, I mean, it was ridiculous, right? She did. She came into the arena like she was Ric fucking Flair. Right? Sequent cape and all of this stuff. And I'm thinking, what about the poor schmuck girl that had to qualify, beat 17 girls to get to this point? And what does she draw? Serena, because they wanted to give Serena a clear path to the finals if they could. I mean, that was so set up. They kept finding players. And she went through a succession of players that each one was succeedingly lower ranked.
Yes, it went backwards.
Right, backwards, right? All right, you're going to play the number 127 girl in the first round, Serena, and then we'll find you somebody that's in the 200s. Okay. What a joke. I mean, if you're going to go out, just go ahead, lose your game. Joe Willie Sanga, remember we were watching that guy practice? Looked like Muhammad Ali. When he went out, right? He played his eyeballs out. I think it was a first-round match of his last tournament that he was in. They had everybody there standing by, ready to, congratulate him on a great career. It was a very touching ceremony. I think it might have been at the French Open. Is that possible? So the guy knew he wasn't going anywhere. I mean, he's had a brilliant career. He's a good clay court player in the French Open. He's a Frenchman of French descent. They did it right. They didn't try to pump up some phony baloney thing that this woman was going to end up winning the championship. That was ugly. My God. And we had to suffer through 3 rounds of that shit. It was getting real low. Serena did look like she had ballooned up to about 240, though, didn't she? Looks like she should be, backing up Nick Chubb with the Browns.
Oh, jeez.
I better be careful.
I was going to say,
free throws, though, 40 for 40. They eclipse a record, believe it or not, that's been in existence since 1982. The Miami Heat last night, 39 for 39 by the Utah Jazz. 1982. That's 18 plus 22. Wow. That's a lot of years ago. It's 40 years ago, right? That's
Yes,
very
it is.
appropriate. They hit it with 40, eclipsing that record by one. The free throws, though, I mean, always an enigma, right? For many, many players. Shaq couldn't hit a free throw. Wilt, horrible free throw shooter. I always admired the good free throw shooters, and I always felt like pros should be able to shoot free throws, no?
Yes, you're
If
wide
you're
open.
going to get to the professional level, you know that's going to be a component of your game. It's as important as being able to make a layup, is it not? Shoot a free throw.
Yes, it frustrates me more. At least a layup, sometimes guys are running at you. It's 15 feet and you're wide open.
Yeah. You're standing there, right? Take your sweet fucking time. Like the Greek. I give the Greek credit. He became a better free throw shooter.
Yeah.
He was an atrocity. Ben Simmons is horrible at the free throw line.
Still is.
And, of course, hack a Shaq was a famous strategy for a long period of time. They had to start designing rules against the fact that certain guys couldn't shoot free throws. Chris Dudley, I think, was one of the worst of all time.
Yes.
And there have been some great ones, right? You think of what? Who's your number one guy you think of shooting?
Nash. I think of Nash.
Steve Nash? Okay, you're more modern day than I am.
You're going old school. I was going to say Nash and Reddick. So, yeah, I mean, Reggie Miller was great. Reggie Miller was amazing.
Yeah, there were, Bill Sharman was like the guy that everybody used to talk about back in the day. And who was the guy that twirled the baton? And little guy, Calvin Murphy. Calvin Murphy was a great free throw shooter. Rick Barry was a real good free throw shooter, even though he shot him underhand. Guy Rogers shot him underhand and wasn't bad. I don't know that he shot like 90% like Barry did. But Barry was one of the few guys that actually made that technique work. It was horrible to have to watch Wilt stagger at the free throw line like that. Right? And just standing there and the whole spotlight is on you, and you know a brick is coming. Just a stone brick. So that was remarkable last night. The Heat with a good win, and they moved to 22-20, 8th place in the Eastern Conference. No reason to get excited again. I mean, it seems like we could put that label on every team, including our Miami Dolphins going to the playoffs here and going against the Buffalo Bills. Now, one thing to observe as a degenerate is early line movement. Lines come out, and then they move one way or the other, right? Usually. I mean, some of them just stay there and linger that way up until game time. Bills Fins, I saw as high as 11 in favor of the Buffalo Bills. Now 9.
Yes. Okay.
What are people seeing that I'm missing here? Yeah.
Have they heard about Tua? Like, is Tua playing and he's like perfectly fine and the concussions never happened?
I don't see that. Bridgewater, has like no fingers on his right hand. He's going to try to throw the ball. And Skylar Thompson, I mean, he's okay. But he's not going to beat the Buffalo Bills, not off that performance he had against the Jets, it wasn't horrific, but, I mean, it certainly was nothing to get overwhelmingly elated about, thinking, oh, my God, we've got our quarterback. Anybody that thought that during the preseason obviously has had to rethink their position, no? There's nothing wrong with that once in a while, Lubie. Rethink your position. You're going to the altar. You're about to get married. Rethink your position.
I love that's the example you give.
It's never too late, man, just to say, you know what?
It's too late for
Fuck
me
it. I was only kidding. I really don't even like you.
I was only kidding.
All right, so that's one movement. I find that one a little bit strange. I still would be tempted to go ahead and unload on the Buffalo Bills, especially now at -9, because I think this game will be a bigger point spread than that. Although, I mean, the evidence is there that the Dolphins are competitive with the Buffalo Bills. The two games were played. Each team with a win, a dramatic victory. Dolphins coming from behind in that first ball game and really putting it to the Buffalo Bills. And their offense was electrifying against Buffalo both times that they met. Buffalo Bills defense suspect. Who was talking to us about that yesterday? Jason Cole?
Yes.
Saying that, their offense is fine, but their defense is highly suspect. And then on top of that, Josh Allen has a penchant to turn the ball over in the fabled red zone and has many red zone turnovers this year, in spite of the fact that Buffalo had a great season and scored a lot of points. So they are somewhat error-prone on offense at times and vulnerable on defense, but if you don't have the tools to take advantage of it, which the Dolphins, I think, clearly won't if they don't have Tua in the ball game. So I'd go ahead and lay that 9 with Buffalo. No? What do you think?
I think with Tua, they're a different animal, but the problem is we don't even know what Tua we're going to get. Even if Tua is magically cleared, he's missed 2 games. It's his second official concussion, possibly his third concussion. They've already said he had some memory loss, which scared the crap out of them.
Yeah, like the plays.
So, I mean, They're not rushing him out there, and whatever Tua is, who knows? It's not going to be the Tua that did light up the Bills and played really well in the first half against the Packers. We saw with Thompson. Look, Thompson's fine, and maybe Thompson may be an NFL quarterback. He's not now.
No.
Like he has guys. Those and that's you said it, and it's funny. That's what I noticed was, oh no, darn it! And then they would show the replay, and he had a pocket, and he had Tyreek Hill streaking and Jalen Waddle streaking, but it was only for a second. He didn't trust it. It was gone. He would have to eat it, and it's like, oh, if he's going to do
You
that,
have to be willing to throw to
Yeah,
a spot that doesn't look to be favorable, knowing that that's the way the play was designed, and that's the way to beat these zone defenses with the material that you have, which I mean is substantial. Having Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, I mean, making those kind of plays, and they make those plays very consistently. So, but as I was watching, I mean, there was a huge pocket of open space around Tyreek Hill a couple of times, but because Skylar Thompson held on to the ball for another split second, all of a sudden he was throwing into trouble instead of throwing into just a clear path.
Yep.
But the throws and the pros are wildly different. I mean, if you watch the college game versus the pro game, once you get to the professional level, with this guy's in his first year, there are people in places that you don't expect them to be.
yes,
And you have to anticipate your guy popping open. You're not necessarily looking down the field and seeing guys wide open, but
no.
you have to anticipate that he's going to pop into the open space there, especially against zone defenses. And I don't know that Skylar Thompson has that ability to anticipate that yet. And one thing that Tua does extremely well is exactly that.
Yes,
He lets the ball go on a line and gets it over the offensive lineman. He doesn't get a ton of passes batted down in that spot. And 15, 17 yards down the field, he'll find that pocket and he'll throw it while the guy looks like he's covered. And, you'll see Hill or Waddle or any of the other receivers just kind of slide into an open spot. But those throws were there for Skylar Thompson. He just can't make them. So that leads me to believe that their only chance is to have Tua, and I don't know that they will. What's your guesstimate on that?
It's
I'm
interesting.
going to say he does not start this game.
I don't think he's playing.
Yeah.
I think they want him. I think he would want to play. I think they've actually been really smart about how they've handled it. And at this point, I mean, to not be cleared at all from concussion protocol to then starting, I feel like that's a big leap in three.
Today would be the indicator. I
Nice.
mean, he either practices with the team today or he's not playing, right?
Yeah.
You would have to think. I mean, they're not going to drop him in there on Friday when they shuffle off to Buffalo and have a walkthrough. I guess they'll get there on Saturday, but because who would want to spend more than 24 hours in Buffalo? All right, what about these other games, Mike Lubie Lewitz? I mean, it's going to be a very exciting weekend. And this could have been on the degenerate SATs. Let's say the question was posed like this, because this would be a tough one to answer. But might be the way to look at this if you're going to go ahead and make some wagers. You don't have to bet all of the games, people. Do we need to remind people of that?
Andy.
You don't have to bet all 6 games. No? Francesco, my buddy, man, he'll have
Does he really
an opinion on all 6 games. There's no doubt about it. All right, so let's say the question was this. Involved a little bit of reading comprehension and some math. Little Johnny is a stone douchebag chalk player. And the playoffs are on the horizon. And here are the point spreads. Of those games, with all of the various favorites, including the smallest of favorites, the L.A. Chargers, giving 1 point to Jacksonville. That game also has been posted as pick'em, which I believe that is a pick'em game, don't you? Chargers on the road against Jacksonville. The Jacksonville team that's hard to formulate a solid opinion about their chances here in the postseason because they did play very well. I mean, they woke up from 3-7.
Yep.
They weren't like lighting the world on fire, but they became a team that was more likely to win a game than they were to just toss one away.
Yep.
And the Chargers are always vulnerable, especially with Brandon Staley as their head coach. I mean, you don't know what this guy's going to do in the postseason. Go for like a 4th and 8 from his own 6-yard line on the opening possession. Thinking, well, we usually make that 4th down. Okay, Brandon. Take a football and shove it up your ass. What are you talking about? You're going to go for it there? Let's not be so daring, my friend. Me, the last guy to want to see teams punt the ball away, in like 4th and an inch from their own 35. Go ahead and try it. And if you lose there, then you're probably going to lose a ball game anyway, don't you think? If you can't make 1 inch in that circumstance, now you are almost automatically throwing a 3 spot on the board for the other team if you're going for first downs like that deep in your own territory. But It's much more of a trend today than it used to be. Like Lombardi would never do that, right? A half an inch. Although I can't say that because Lombardi actually, for all of his sort of conservative, let's run the ball down their throat 3 yards in a cloud of dust, Woody Hayes approach, right, which he had the goods to deliver that. On those type of plays, like third and really short and fourth and short, I think you guys will remember he would actually run play action, which wasn't as prevalent at the time, and have Bart Starr toss one to like Boyd Dowler, who was wide open 50 yards down the field. And he would go for the bomb every now and then. Staley, I don't know if he's backed off of that position. What do you think? I think he might have simmered down a little bit in terms of always going for it on fourth down, no matter how impossible the circumstances appeared to be. But in this case, I think you are looking at a pick'em game. So if Little Johnny was a stone douchebag chalk player and had to find a one game that he would play where he played the underdog, what game would it be?
Yeah, it'd be that. Or the Cowboys.
It would have to be that. That's a mild underdog, though. I don't even know if you can consider Jacksonville an underdog. I think this line is kind of curious. Are the Giants really only 3 points inferior in terms of on paper on the road against the Minnesota Vikings, who finished the season? Did they not end up 13-4? The Vikings.
Yes.
They
had a strong record. They found ways to win, but people didn't trust them. Didn't they lose the second to last week? Then they got annihilated by the Packers.
Yeah.
And again, that just built up the Packers' steam, but then the Packers lost to the Lions. Like, people don't know what to do with the Vikings. They were they had a strong record.
Yeah.
In games, their level of play was.
They came close to getting the number one seed. They were within a game of it.
They did.
I don't like them. But I don't think the Giants are all that much, do you? I mean, are the Giants capable of going on the road? First time they're in the playoffs in a long time. Daniel Jones had a much better season. Saquon Barkley returned from a couple of years of really being off his game due to injuries, serious injuries that you thought might compromise his entire career. So, great signs of life there. I don't know that they have a great receiving core, the Giants, because that's true. I think Kenny Golladay, who they acquired for like $200 million as a free agent, I believe that was his first catch as a Giant in like 2 or 3 years. I don't know. I mean, remember when they signed him? You're like, who the hell is Kenny Golladay? I mean, when did he become Jerry Rice?
He was like a big deal from the Lions, and it flamed out very quickly.
Wow. I mean, he literally did nothing. You would, and in New York, you're going to be subjected to an endless stream of ridicule, justified or not. And in this case, a lot of the ridicule and the, defamatory statements that were being made about Galladay's ability pretty much were on the money. I mean, they were hard to argue with. All right, so I'm trying to spot the upset here. Let's eliminate the Chargers in Jacksonville as an upset because I think that game will go off at Pick'em. Or I mean, it's going to be 1 point. It started out 1 and a hook. You're also considering that Jacksonville is at home, so they're giving the Chargers, a bit more of an edge than it appears just by the point spread, because that usually accords you to 3 points. And that's why I'm looking at this Minnesota line. They're essentially saying that Minnesota and the Giants on a neutral field are even. Are you kidding me? Do you see that? I mean, the Giants were what, 9-7-1?
Look, the Giants were a fun story, and Dable did a good job, and they went from the ashes to being decent. And Daniel Jones, most people, we had Len Robbins on, don't believe he's the future. Some people have talked themselves into it because of their winning record. The Vikings are vastly superior. It's just Kirk Cousins is the quarterback. So
Cousins is not horrible. I mean,
no.
He has his moments.
With Justin Jefferson, they put up point. I mean, Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook, they have a lot of talent. But he will have his moments where he'll throw these stupid-ass passes still. So that's why people don't trust him. But I think the Vikings win easily. I mean, that offense.
Cook that Gene Deckerhoff said was the greatest running back in Florida State history? Yeah.
He's FSU's best, and Dunn's number 2.
Over Sammy Smith.
Everyone forgets Sammy Smith.
Sammy was great at FSU. I mean, he was a terrible pro, but I mean, you couldn't stop this guy. He was steamrolling people. He looked like Jim Brown, didn't he, Sammy Smith? He looked like Jim Brown at Florida State. FSU, he really did. Yes. Florida State's had some good running backs, though. You would be more familiar with the list than I would. But
they haven't had UM level, but Dexter Carter, Ampli, Cam Akers since. They've had a nice list. Devontae Freeman. They've had a nice list of running backs. Dalvin Cook's the best. Vikings have talent. It's just
Deckerhoff was emphatic about that. That's why I remembered. I mean, I love talking to Gino, but maybe we should try and get a hold of Gino, see if he'll talk about the Buccaneer season with us for I mean, anytime we can get him on, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
But I do remember him in an interview, and we've done like dozens of interviews with Gene Deckeroff. And one thing that's always amazing is just like Mick Hubert, he could go through the entire history of in one sentence of FSU football. And he was talking about Dalvin Cook. He said far and away the best running back that Florida State ever had. So I mean that's a major force for the Minnesota Vikings to believe that they're 3 better than the New York Giants. I see Minnesota winning that game. I don't know. I'd be willing to lay the 3 points there. What about you, Louis? As much as you hate Kirk Cousins.
I just typed it. I don't hate him. I just think he's erratic. But they're in the dome. They're at home, so weather won't be a factor. I know they've struggled with teams like the Jets. The Giants are just as good, if not better. I think that offense, when it puts it together, is freaking scary. Justin Jefferson was like setting records this year.
Yeah.
And I think you can see that in this game 1. I don't know what they do against the upper echelon of the NFC, but I think they'll win this game and cover.
All right.
Very low spread.
So on the degenerate SATs, we have the given Little Johnny is a stone douchebag chalk player. What game would Little Johnny be wise to reverse his usual pattern and go and take the points? Okay. Cincinnati, Baltimore, that line oddly has moved in favor of the Ravens. And I'm trying to think based on what. I don't even think it's fat enough as it is.
Is Lamar playing? Lamar hasn't played in like a month.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, even if he does play, how sharp could he possibly be? Coming back for a couple of practices that were held under the cover of darkness, like they were working out Seabiscuit or something. Has anybody seen this guy play? I mean, it's like those Peyton Manning. Remember when nobody knew if Peyton Manning could even lift a football up? And all of a sudden, some video surfaced that was taken by a cell phone through a chain link fence at some, remote high school in Louisiana, where there was muck all over the field, and they had Manning actually throwing a pass to somebody who had no defender on him, and he still had to wait for the ball for a half an hour as it floated in there like it was a whirlybird. Right? It made that sound. The whirlybird sound. And, and everybody went crazy, right? Oh, look at that. Who was it? It strikes me that, that was true of Manning. And there were other players throughout history where even if they like just took a deep breath, you were going, whoa, man, he's back. But how is that line moving in favor of, in the Ravens' direction? Based on what would you see there? Little Johnny, stone douchebag chalk player. Is he not going with Cincinnati, and justifiably so? And what am I missing here? The line's down to 7, I think.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the Bengals are playing really well right now. They've added a defense to go with that offense. Yes, Burrow has the propensity to chuck it and throw a stupid-ass interception. He does it almost every game. But then they figure it out, and they go up and down the field. I don't know.
The Cowboys routinely, this would have been my lean, although I'm not sure how big of an upset it is.
Are they favored? The
Cowboys go on the road. They're favored by 2.5 now. That line was 3. To open up. So a little bit of movement going in the direction of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have Tom Brady. Okay. Well, what is Tom Brady's history? I mean, he's like 403 in playoff games. He's going to get favorable calls from the officials and favorable treatment. And the officials won't have to worry about being bombarded with projectiles coming from the stands or snowballs or anything like that because, A, it won't be snowing in Tampa. And although might be close, right? It's supposed to be about 40 degrees down here over the weekend at night. Lubie, at night. Don't get too excited. You're still going to fry when you go out there in the daytime, right? Put your sunscreen on. Don't ignore those moles, man. When things start changing colors on your face, you want to get right to the dermatologist if you're here. But I don't think they have to worry about snow in that ballgame. Dallas routinely chokes in these spots, did they not? If I was going to pick the upset, if I was Little Johnny, a stone douchebag chalk player, and I was answering the question on the SATs, and they considered any negative point spread where you're taking a team that is getting points as picking an upset, I think that might be my upset, no? I mean, obviously, you're giving Jacksonville a decent chance to beat the Chargers. And as much as I would never think this, I mean, if you watch the two teams play for the majority of the season, you would never feel that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to beat the Dallas Cowboys, except for maybe the last couple of weeks, right?
But the Cowboys had everything to play for this weekend, and the Commanders are And Howell was getting his first start.
The Commanders had thrown in the towel. They're playing a quarterback that they didn't even know if they want to have on a roster anymore.
He was their 5th round pick, and he was their 3rd string quarterback.
And he wasn't bad.
bad. I mean, they looked so bad in that game. Dak looked like I didn't realize how good of a year he had because I was watching that game and I have not watched any Cowboy football. That I was like, oh, he's the same old Dak. He's horrendous. I'm like, what a great year he had. I'm like, great year. Like he looks like trash.
He's been suspect late in the season. They've been winning games, and I don't know if it's in spite of Dak Prescott. I mean, he's had something to do with the positive side of things on offense, but also a lot to do with the negative, including, I mean, you can't go any more all Western Union than he did on successive plays. When he throws the ball to the same receiver in front of the same defender, the guy, swoops in there and should have picked off the first pass, albeit while making sort of a diving catch going to the ground. And then he throws the exact same ball in the next play. 12 yards down the field with nothing on it. No mustard whatsoever, man. You didn't need Chick Hearn to call this one. There was no mustard coming off the hot dog because there was no mustard on this pass. It was a bloop. It was a Joe Cap special. And he throws it out there exactly the same way. I mean, looking the entire time at the receiver. Holy Ryan Tannehill. Would you look somebody off? Look off your girlfriend, anything. Just, once in your life, look away from the place that you're intending to go to, which maybe he got a lot better at that as his career progressed there with the Tennessee Titans. It didn't hurt at all to have like Derrick Henry running the football, right? But they missed the playoffs. Tampa Bay, then, I would give them a shot against the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, yeah, the way they finished where they should have lost the last 5 games and somehow Brady had these magical fourth quarters.
Statistically, Brady had an excellent year. To the eye, I mean, the eye test, did he pass it? No, he looked like a shot fighter most of the time. Right. I did happen to see all 3 of the games where he made these dramatic comebacks. And it just seemed like the other team, I went, not Red Sea so much, but just the lateral equivalent of Red Sea would be what? Because if you split the middle of the field in a Red Sea, as Tony Sperano did to allow Tim Tebow to actually continue his NFL career, in that fabled game where Stephen Ross wisely decided with his PR cronies there to say, hey, I know what we should do. Why don't we honor a guy who everybody hates who's on the other team? And celebrate the Florida Gators. Get the fuck out of here, Steve. Who feeds this guy these ideas? I mean, come on.
It was Nat Moore. Wasn't that when Nat Moore was a Gator?
Oh, Nat, yeah. Well, yeah. Nat, you can excuse that with Nat. I love Nat Moore. Although Nat Moore still owes me a 9-iron. You notice how he shrugs that off when I bring it up? I mean, we've had Nat on, and Nat is not the kind of guy that likes to get immersed in sports talk type of controversy.
Oh, no. He's very
careful about that. Like, he'll actually tell you, even though I've known Nat Moore, for a long, long time, and done a lot of different charitable events with Nat back in the day there when I was more around the Dolphin organization, including and this was on that little stinking par 3 at Shula's, where I was having a horrible round. My golf game was erratic because I have no actual form. And you know how this goes. I mean, sometimes you can be in a game in manufacture form, but you will never really be an elite player as long as you go ahead and give in to the idea that you're okay not doing it the right way. All right? I mean, maybe the only game I had thought like true form in, I had good form on my shot in basketball. And hitting and pitching and throwing a ball, playing a field, I had pretty good form in baseball. Football, could catch a ball, couldn't throw it. Tennis, horrible form. And tennis and golf are form games, are they not?
100%.
Those are games where you could look like nothing like an athlete, right? You could look like Charles Howell III, right? Skinny string bean that looks like he's desperately in need of a bologna sandwich, anything. Right? The people that are in the crowd are like, here, Charles, eat this, man.
They're feeding him.
Put on a couple of pounds before you make the turn. Right? And then, whoosh, you're like, wait a minute, man. I'm a big, strong guy, right? Over a couple of 100 pounds. And, I have a pretty decent swing. And this guy's driving the ball 300 yards. And I can't get it to go 240 on a roll. Unbelievable. So the form is everything in that game. You can't possibly be good. So I'm having a horrible round. And, I get to the next to last hole, and it was one of those things where you didn't even want to hit anymore, because it was a scramble. And so, I had a couple of good golfers on the team. Ross Nobles, I don't know if you remember that guy. Ross Nobles was a longtime cameraman for channel, I believe he was NBC. Probably, I think he worked with Tony for years and years and years. Good golfer, though, pretty good golfer. He had a decent game. So we were playing most of his shots the entire time. And you need one ringer in a 5-man scramble, do you not? You need at least one guy that can hit the ball.
You have more than one.
And, on occasion, I was that guy, but on this occasion, I was not. I was Shankopotamus plus. All right. So all of a sudden, I get to this. I mean, it's like the hole's nothing. It's like 108 yards. One of these things. You don't even know if you should. I mean, it's over water, or you would use your putter. You'd go Vanderbilt. But the water's not even a big threat. I mean, it's not like the water is so overwhelming that you go, oh, my God, I don't want to plunk one in there. Because if you do plunk one in the water on this particular hole, it's a total fucking embarrassment. It really is. Like you are, Johnny, a low-life douchebag Chuck playing loser in our degenerate SAT question. So anyway, I happened to knock one right on the green. Perfect trajectory, style points, everything. And it actually hit behind the hole and rolled back. I went a little draw on it, back to the hole, and finished up inside of a foot. Okay, so I'm supposed to win a club, and I never got it from Nat Moore. Should I remind him of that the next time we speak?
He sort of just glosses. You've done it before. He glosses over it every time.
Yeah, he kind of like laughs, like, I'll get it to you. And I'm like, come on, man, I want that fucking 9-iron, even though I don't play golf. No, I'm only kidding. But Nat, a good guy, and that was his idea to honor the Gators. I mean, that would make he's a diehard Gator. He was doing Gator broadcasts for a while on Sunshine Network back in the day when I was, a big participant in that. And I remember running into that frequently. Hey, Nat, how you doing? Doing a great job on this stuff. But always a very charitable oriented guy, very community service, not like the community service that most of my friends are doing, where, it's like, okay, you got 80 hours. Go down to that abortion clinic and start taking names and numbers. Can you put me down for 4 hours here? Community service, a real drag. Why do they even bother with that, right? Who wants these criminals doing community service when it's the last place on earth they want to be? I guess they would prefer that to jail, okay? So it serves its purpose, and maybe you are getting something good done. You always picture the guy picking up garbage on the highway, but that's never the community service that you're doing. It's usually something really weird, like registering people for COVID-19 shots or something. I guess, it serves its purpose. But, all right, so let's get back to the question here, Lubie. We're going to make a 16 parlay.
Okay. What was the question?
Well, I mean, that would be the way to approach the playoffs. It's nonsensical, right? But wind up at a $50 6-teamer. That's got to be worth a fortune.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take a shot that you could pick all 6 playoff games. There's a lot of evidence on the table about these teams now. And the parity, obviously, is always going to be a concern during the regular season. I mean, you'll see the Houston Texans rise up and beat somebody to win one of their 3 games during the course of the year. And it just happens to be the time that you said, they couldn't cover my grandmother if she was wearing army boots. All right, so Bills Fins. We need a consensus, you and me, on this. Bills Fins, I'm going to go ahead and lay the 9 with the Bills as the first move. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we got the Bills. I'm going to keep track of this, Lubie, so that we don't.
You should actually do this bet, even though it's going to go up in flames by.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a $50 parlay.
On it. I'm down to go in on this just to watch more money go up in smoke. Andy,
well, I mean, you have to win them all, and there are, at least, 3 tricky games, I think, here. And these other games with the big spreads, I think San Francisco will blow Seattle off the face of the earth. I'd be willing to lay the 10 there.
Yes.
So we're off to a bad start because we're willing to lay the 2 biggest point spreads to start things out. Johnny was a chalk playing douchebag. And I asked him to pick one upset, and here we go. All right, now this one, I really do believe it's a coin flip. I couldn't tell you who to take, Chargers or Jacksonville. My lean would be originally first instinct is Chargers, and then after a little bit more thought process is applied, I give Jacksonville a legitimate shot. I mean, so what's the safe play? You're only laying a point.
Scaling factor.
You're taking the Chargers, but that would be 3 straight favorites. What's that now?
Peterson's gone and taken on Belichick head-to-head in the Super Bowl and beat him while the Patriots played well in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Versus Brandon Staley.
That's a good one. But from a talent standpoint, would you not assume that the Chargers have a little bit better talent? I mean, as well as Lawrence played this year, Herbert's got a little bit more experience and also has a proven track record at times of just coming through with monster plays in clutch situations.
Quarterback-wise, Herbert's ahead of his career, but I would almost make it an even thing because Lawrence to me is even more.
Lawrence is coming on, and he's starting to feel it a little bit.
But Lawrence doesn't have weapons, and Herbert does.
Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
problem there.
This is
And
a crucial game that we have to
I
pick.
know. And then
This is the crucible right here. I mean, I think this one and the Dallas game.
the Chargers defense doesn't always play up to their talent level, but they have a lot of superstars. They're just always hurt.
All right.
James,
Mike Williams is going to play in the game. He was hurt. I think
think
Joey Bosa left the regular season finale also with an injury, but I haven't heard anything that he's not playing.
And James is playing too. It sucks because I think the Chargers are the better team, but to go with Brandon Staley to win a playoff game scares the shit out of me.
So you're going to take Jacksonville in this one?
I'll go with whatever you say because
we have to come up with something. I'm with you. I mean, it's a coin flip. I'm going to take a shot with the Jaguars. Maybe they're a little bit of a Cinderella story. The Chargers going across the country.
Yep.
Obviously, Jacksonville, a climate that's very conducive to what LA is accustomed to. Jacksonville, as we were discussing with somebody yesterday. Oh, yeah. It was Jason Cole again.
Yes.
I think it was Dave Hyde we were talking to.
We had Hyde and Cole talking about very similar things.
Yeah.
So I get lost.
I mean, a shithole of a city. The only thing they had going there besides
that was Cole. Cole mocked Jackson. Cole mocked Jackson
because he said that would be the game that he would like to attend if he could pick one of the 6
or watch. No, he said watch. I don't know if he said he wanted to attend because he doesn't like Jackson.
No, he mentioned Jacksonville as being a shithole.
Yeah,
so I'm assuming that implied that he would have to go there for a day. My brother lives in Jacksonville, loves it.
He chose to live there.
Thinks it's a great place. Yeah, I mean, and he could live anywhere. The guy's got millions of bucks, and he very happy there. He couldn't be any happier. Me, I don't know.
I've been there. It's okay. I wouldn't live there.
I think we live in a garden spot. I really believe that. I believe South Florida. Now, if you were filthy rich, and you had your own island or something, I'm sure there are more desirable places that you could conjure up here. But for a mixed bag of everything that you like, right? Because we do have a professional sports city, even if we don't have professional sports fans here. Well, we have some. But they're a mixed bag and a very eclectic bag. I mean, it's almost like, we're taking people in at the border to become sports fans here in South Florida, right?
Yes.
And there's no great identity. There is a little bit of history now with the local teams, so you have that. But just take example last night, Lubie. I mean, here I am. I'm in my 70s, and up the street, literally, one of the nicest drives that you could take here is the Hillsborough Mile, which I believe Zach Thomas – I waved to what I thought his house was. I believe he has a house in the Hillsborough Mile, and wished him luck for making the Hall of Fame, which I somehow see him getting shined on until they get to the Veterans Committee, man. I don't want to see a broken down Zach Thomas rolling around Radio Row when we make our return there in 20 years. And, and he's babbling like Jerry Kramer, like, man, this is my last year.
Oh, God.
And I like Kramer. I mean, he was always good. And he always came on our shows. He was one of the guys that was endorsing products that, were under the umbrella of the great Chris Visser. And, a legendary Packer. How do you turn that interview down, right? I mean, if you're going to do, interviews, you want to get some contemporary players, but I would think that most people were more familiar with these ghosts from the past than they were even some of the contemporary players, right? So, anyway, Jerry Kramer, I don't want to see Zach in that condition. Because, it was heartbreaking, to see some of these guys were on their last leg, and the Veterans Committee, was going to shut them out again. An act of utter and just undeserved cruelty. And did he get in on the last go?
Yes.
Last one. They tortured that man for that long. I mean, what is wrong with the right? I'm going to ask Lupica about that. I mean, there's a chance. I don't know if we're going to combine this with this show yet, but we're going to have Mike Lupica on later on. What would be our Believe podcast? Do we just try to extend it out?
Yeah, I go here. It's a phone. I mean, and
okay,
it's
all right.
So I'm down.
And he has written a book with James Patterson, a fabled author. They've written a book together. So. What was he, envious of Mitch Albom and Tuesdays with Maury, which sounded like a pretty boring day, didn't it? Tuesdays with Maury?
I like
hanging out at the hospital there. Okay, Maury, I can see you're still in bed. What the fuck?
It was a good book.
Should we mock Tuesdays with Maury when we get Lupica on shooting from the lip?
It was a great book.
I don't know what this book is about. I mean, I know nothing about the book. I feel like Larry King here. Well, the author is James Patterson. The book is House of Wolves. You do one of those?
Yeah, just let them go.
Tell us about your inspiration for the book. Yeah.
It's both guys together. I mean,
they can talk. These are two guys. Our authors that we've had on, fabled authors, have always been
We'll be fine.
Absolutely.
I'm not
John
worried
Grisham,
about
I
this.
mean, how surprisingly good was he? Even though you knew the guy was going to be intelligent, but, he was fantastic. And Buzz Bissinger, I mean, amazing. Maybe some of the best sports analysis that I've ever heard, telling us that Russell Wilson was a completely shot fighter and was horseshit to begin with.
Which I actually found that. I actually synthesized it and I have it here.
Oh, yeah?
We never aired it.
Okay, yeah, we're going to have to run that back at some point in time. Maybe we'll run it back for Tony, man.
I have it.
If we get into, I don't know. I mean, Russell Wilson, he finally had a decent ball game the last game of the season. So does that give these fools in Denver? I mean, they're battling snowdrifts from April all the way through to the following March. I mean, have they lost their minds? Do they really believe? Oh, wow! Did you see that? We beat a team. What was that? They played the Chargers, right? And it was like 31-29. Russell Wilson had a pretty good ball game there. So maybe they figured it out, right? With the new coaches, new coaching staff. After they got rid of the Hackett man. He should have been named Hatchet.
Hatchet. I was going to say they should.
As in Molly Hatchet. All right, so where are we at? We waffled on this game. I think we might have to come back to it later on in the week before we formulate our 16 parlay.
Cowboys.
Minnesota and the Giants. I'm giving the game to Minnesota. I'm sorry.
Minnesota. I'm sorry, Andy. He's a Giant at heart. I just don't see it.
Well, Andy knows then the bitter disappointment that he's about to incur unless somehow they, start playing Eli's Coming, Hide Your Heart, Girl. Eli pulled off a couple of miracles for the Giants. Otherwise, I mean, they'd be shut out on Super Bowls going all the way back to Y.E. Tittle. What are you talking about? Cincy, I mean, how does that not look like a cinch over Baltimore? I don't understand that one going the other direction, Lubie. No. So far, I mean, if we don't take Jacksonville, we're taking all chalk in the wild card round, which I don't know. Is that inappropriate? Inappropriate? All chalk. I mean, you would think favorites would prevail here. You do have a couple of teams that would normally be more heavily favored, unfortunately, going on the road because of the cockamamie system of division winners getting the home game, even though they had losing records. What was Jacksonville 9-8 or 8-9 on the season?
I think
Tampa Bay had a losing record of 8-9, and they're hosting a playoff game. And this is the one
9-8.
Can you imagine, though, we're alive, 5 teams, and this, I believe, is the Monday night game, right? Because it's the Dallas Cowboys, and everybody wants to see it all by itself.
I don't think they do.
These games are isolated. I mean, they don't overlap the playoff games. But imagine we're 5-0. If we were 5-0, we could hedge off on this thing. But I'm going to let it all go to Tampa Bay.
Monday night playoff? When did they start playing?
Monday night playoff game, yeah. When they started realizing that, hey, you know what? If we play a game on Monday night, we can charge even more money to our loyal sponsors.
There's a Monday night playoff?
Yeah. Oh, it's Super Wild Card Weekend, my friend.
Oh, God.
You used to have the 2 games on Saturday and the 2 on Sunday, and now you have 2 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and then here we go. Monday Night Football, my friends. Monday Night Football.
That's weird.
All right, so my parlay would look like this. I mean, you tell me where we've made mistakes. We might have to rethink this. I have Bills, San Francisco, Jacksonville getting a point, Minnesota, Cincinnati, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Am I going to throw $50 to the wind on that?
I hate having to root on the Bucks, but the Cowboys find a way to. It's Mike McCarthy again. The coaches to me matter.
Find a way to lose. Dak Prescott, Choke City.
Yep.
Brady.
And Brady finds a way to win.
Summons up the goods there at the end of the game. For some reason, they're single covering Mike Evans and allowing him to roam free up to 15 yards down the sideline. Where, I mean, remember, this was the thing. After you were like disgusted with your quarterback, you're playing even street ball, right? And 3-on-3. I played a lot of 3-on-3 football in my day because, you had the street as the boundary. So you had a quarterback. You had one guy who was going to count like 10 Mississippi. So you had plenty of time to move around and, maneuver, even if your original pass pattern was defended. And then, the offense would go south. I mean, just completely south, like TCU against Georgia. And you would say, all right, I'm just going to go out there and run a button hook. 5 yards. Just hit me with a pass so we can complete a pass and move the ball forward. Right? And we were playing first downs every 10 yards in the street. So it wasn't that hard to accomplish. And what was the easiest pass to complete? The old button hook. And that's what they give Tom Brady at the end of the game, right? That's the only pass he can complete at that point, the button hook and the little square out. And there's nobody around these guys, right? All of a sudden, Godwin, they forgot that this guy was like a Pro Bowl receiver. Mike Evans, a monster receiver when he's on his game, which, for the most part has been. But I How are they putting up like 3 points a game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Did they explode against Dallas, Lubie? Now, there's something wrong. This is like, when you get the, you're on the prices, right? And they tell you, okay, like 3 of your prices are incorrect. Okay. So which games do we have to fix here? What do you think? Bills laying 9, Frisco laying 10, Jacksonville getting 1, Minnesota laying 3, Cincinnati laying 7, Tampa Bay plus 2.5 to close it out. And at that point, we're hedging heavily. I don't think I could stand to have been right about Tom Brady all season. Then finally, after saying this guy was finished, go ahead and bet on the guy, and then he comes up and starts the ball game.
100%. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be horrendous. But what do you like?
Little Johnny was a chalk-playing douchebag, but he was about to bet a 16 parlay on the Super Wildcard Weekend, the first ever in the history of the National Football League. What teams should Johnny pick? All right. Now, if he's a chalk-playing douchebag, he's got all the favorites, what if you went with all the favorites, Lubie? Now, you're doomed if you do that, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, so there's got to be someone the NFL.
These would be very minor upsets, though, if Tampa Bay and Jacksonville prevail. Not easy, though, Lubie, you would say. I don't know. I think Minnesota and Cincinnati, and I believe the Bills, sadly, are somewhat givens, no? And
Yes.
San Francisco.
Yes.
I think those 4 games. Now, you could mix it up a little bit on the 16 parlay and do, 1 and maybe bet a little heavier. See, then you have 4 different things that you have to factor in. You'd have to buy 4 tickets to hit a 16 parlay. So maybe you make 1 big play and then a couple of, minor ones with the games that you're confused about. And then, of course, the Dolphins get a backdoor cover and lose the Bills by 3. All right, Tony Segreto is coming up. Hialeah Park, great place to go. Don't forget about it, people, please. Sign up now while the entries are available. And it's a $500 buy-in. It sounds like a lot, but $300 is your own bankroll. And then the other $200 pretty much goes to the prize pool, except for, the fact that they're throwing you like a dynamite bunch of food all morning and afternoon long as you're handicapping your brains out.
Nice.
Gulfstream and Aqueduct. And in there in the champion simulcasting room, now, you're free to bet on whatever else you want, but if you win the tournament, you win a trip to the National Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's right. You'll be whisked away by a limousine, and they pretty much provide everything. I don't know about the limo to the airport, but everything else is on the house there. It's just absolutely great. So, tremendous opportunity to be involved in one of the, great, great life-changing moments that could occur if and I'm telling you, Lubie, as sharp as all of these handicappers were that are out there in Las Vegas, and I'm in the room with like however many people were involved in the tournament, it's some number in the high hundreds, I believe. I'm thinking you could just as easily win this thing, all right? Based on the way that they formulate, the outcome of the tournament, if you can pick some winners, you're going to win. You have to take a few shots, though, with balloons. Every if you can hit a couple of bombs, wow, Lubie, it's literally bombs away bombsy. You're walking away with like $800,000. So well worth taking a shot there. If you were going to take a shot, I got shut out yesterday on the Mega Millions. Because I started to say, we drove by Zach's house because we were on our way to the Tipperary pub there in Deerfield. And tremendous show. And that's what I was saying about South Florida. You drive through one of the nicest sections of the country you'll find anywhere, right? Would you agree?
Oh, Hillsborough,
Iowa. Bridge, and you got the Hillsborough Inlet and everything, and the lighthouse and the moon. It's straight out of the opening scene of a novel, a romance novel. Unbelievable. And then you catch a guy like Matt Schofield, a world class. This guy, if Clapton was playing in this dump of a bar, would you not go if it was free? Lubie, come on.
Yes, of course.
That's up the street. That's not happening in Orlando. That's not happening in Jacksonville.
No.
It's happening here. So it's worth putting up with all of the bullshit, is it not? The French Canadians and all of the other stuff. Right-wing politicians. Right? You don't even care. Okay, Ron, send them all back. Of course, Schmuck was in like a tire tube and just sailed through the Florida streets. Diana Nyad had an easier time getting over with a fucking jellyfish on her head. And immediately you're going to go, okay, Ronnie boy, let's send them all back, right back. Okay, there you go. Back to Havana. Go get me a cigar. I mean, unbelievable. I have ultimate empathy for. I mean, I know you can't let everybody just into the country and open your borders completely. I understand all of that. It's a very dicey thing,
Yes,
especially if you're
it's
a humanitarian at
a
heart.
much more difficult issue than some people would like you to believe.
Yeah, I don't think that they should shoot these guys from the top of the wall once they complete it.
No, it should not be like a Netflix show.
No, I mean they're not in Shawshank for God's sake. Come on, poor people just trying to find a life here. All right, you have to have some empathy for that. I mean, when you see all of these stories that are coming up lately about how these guys, you see these, you can't even call them boats. They're coming over on, and they're landing in the Keys now, and the giant Tortugas there. And it's a legitimate problem, no question about it. But how do you handle it? That I don't think that's been addressed yet by anybody with a rational approach.
Nah.
And it seems to be a battle of extremes. But you can't forget completely about the person. It's like this Damar Hamlin thing. I mean, we used to watch and go, okay, get him off the field already. Some guy tears an anterior cruciate. He's just lost his entire career, and all of his guaranteed money was due next year. And you think nothing. I mean, come on, let's go. Let's get the game going again. But this one smacked everybody in the face, and finally, I don't know that they really need to do anything to make the game safer. It seemed like the safety measures that have been put in place by having paramedics there present saved this kid's life. No, and it looks like when they trot him out on the field, though, Lubie, when he leads the team out there to build out,
for sure.
What chance do the Dolphins have?
Zero.
This is Rudy. I mean, on steroids.
100%. 100%.
And they're facing probably a team that's playing better football at this stage of the season than they are, even though
Well, they have the quarterback.
last game was close.
All
right. We're coming back. Tony Segreto. Wow, I mean, I've been schlubbing right through this. Hialeah Park, great place to go, though. Don't forget about the handicap tournament. You can sign up there, and that's at hialeahpark.com. Great setup there with the champion simulcasting room, poker room they have, and all your favorite Vegas-style games. People winning jackpots all the time at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, Tony's coming up. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and Catholic Health Services. And I'm thinking Tony is probably where? Vermont? Where are you guessing?
He's still in Vermont. He's in Vermont.
This kid loves the cold, man. And we'll try to bring him out of the cold as Tony's fidgeting with his camera right now. But we'll have Tony coming up in just a sec here as we'll be back in a moment. Now that old school coming up.
The time.
8:04.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go?
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
There he is. All right. Welcome back to the show. Looking extraordinarily well, as always, the great Tony Segreto. Are you going duck hunting later today?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I am. What happened to Justina Testa? What happened to Justina Testa? We cut out of the commercial.
Louis has some issue there. I don't know what it is.
Lubie, what'd you do to your hair?
I
Oh
got
my
a
goodness
Yeah,
gracious!
he got
Went
a
You got
weed
more than
eater.
one cut.
Yeah. Didn't it look like one of those guys, the long guy? He just said, "Hey, could you trim a little off the top while you're at it, whacking those weeds?" How are you, Tony? What's happening, my friend? You
Life
must
is
be
grand. Life is
feeling good.
grand, man.
You look good,
Life
kid.
is life is good. Life is. I was obviously, like pretty much most people, just disappointed in the championship game. It was just such a beat. I mean, you and I were texting. It was just such a beatdown. It was.
You could see it from the start, though. You really
Oh
could.
my goodness gracious
Yeah.
me! It was not even. I am just, is Georgia that good? I mean, first of all, I don't want the thing that worries me the most about a game like that is that people are going to be bitching about TCU not belonging there.
Yep.
They're in their
And
way there. I don't think anybody would argue that.
What was that?
They're
I'm
in their
sorry.
way there. I mean, they had to beat Michigan.
Yeah,
That wasn't
yeah.
easy.
Right.
They-
No, and
And
I
they had
don't
to win
know.
all of their other games except for one, right?
Yeah, and I don't know who could stop Georgia. I don't know if there'd be a beatdown like that, but I don't know who
Wow.
could stop.
Looked
That
like the
was-
Hawaii Bowl, didn't it? Where one team shows up and the other team's drunk,
It looked like an NFL.
drinking
You know what it
sangria on the sidelines.
You know what it looked like? For those of them, we're gonna go real old school here.
All right.
When they had, I even forget what they called the game, Defo. When they had all the college stars play against an NFL team.
Oh yeah. That was the
Uh,
college All-Star game.
Yeah,
or
the
something
college
like
All-Star game. That was it was such. It was like a college All-Star game in that you had, and Georgia was the NFL team. I mean,
Yeah.
it was remarkable. A buddy of mine sends me this text, and he goes, "The game reminds me of a high school homecoming game
that.
where the scene in the huddle goes like this. Is there a senior in this huddle that hasn't scored yet? Let me know. Raise your hand. Okay, we're going to give you the ball, and when you get it, wave to your family as you score your
Yeah.
touchdown.
No,
That's
it was
kind-
amazing. I mean,
Kind of what it was like.
yeah, I got a text. I was curious which side. I ended up, having Georgia laying 13. I was inclined, as I said all week long, I probably would have taken the points with TCU if I was
I
making
did.
my own.
I took the
again.
point.
Yeah.
I took the point.
I mean, it seemed reasonable, right? That
it did.
even if they were down like 21 most of the game, it was teetering on 21, 17, whatever. That they might have a chance late in a ball game and get a concessionary touchdown and cover 13 points. Didn't seem that outrageous. And they played well enough to make you think that, you could at least make a strong case for that. But, I mean, right out of the chute there, you saw it was just going to be a disaster. And they did get to 10-7, but then quickly any hope was erased immediately. The Stetson Bennett, though, I mean, what a great story and a different type of story than you would have, I mean, in maybe any other era of college football, although it didn't involve the transfer portal, but it involved just about everything else, right?
Yeah.
Where,
and
no
both-
scholarship offers. I mean, he
Yeah.
walks on, he leaves there for a JUCO, and ends up back there and has maybe the most successful quarterbacking career that we've seen there at Georgia.
Absolutely. And Max Duggan,
Wasn't
too.
Stafford a Georgia guy? Was he like the best?
Yeah,
quarterback they
Stafford's a
had?
Georgia guy. Yeah. And Max Duggan too. Just great. Everything was just such great stories. And Stetson seems like a really good guy. And will he be a pro? Probably not. But maybe he'll be a journeyman for a while and give some.
Couldn't he be
teams
Colt
an
McCoy
opportunity.
as a pro?
Well, yeah, Colt's still playing. Believe
Still
it or
playing.
not,
Yeah.
man.
So's Chad Checkdown Henne. I didn't realize. that.
Yeah, Chad Henne's still playing. I listened to your bets. I find the bets.
I'm not sure they're formulated in cement yet.
Yeah, it's going to be a curious weekend. Where
do we differ here?
I don't
Bills
know if we
Fins.
differ.
I
don't
see
know
the
if we
Fins being up
differ.
against it. Yeah.
I first of all, I thought, and I stand up and applaud David Hyde for having the wherewithal to write what everybody's thinking, and that is that I think even maybe not the staunchest Dolphin fans, pretty much everybody's rooting for Buffalo to win this weekend just because of what Buffalo's been through, from floods to shootings to murders to Hamlin to, I mean, it's been a remarkable
snowstorm. I mean,
snowstorm. This remarkable story about the city of Buffalo and the resiliency of the fans and the resiliency of the team and the way the team has responded to Hamlin. I applaud the article because it's true. It's. Do you agree, Lubie?
It'd be easy to have a sympathetic. Oh, go ahead, Libby. What were you going to say?
They're America's team. I mean, 100. Unless you are from South Florida, even if you're a Dolphin fan, you may still be rooting for the Bills.
Yeah, I agree. Or if not rooting for
you
them,
won't mind losing to the Bills.
right,
Let's put it
right.
that way.
Even if you're not rooting for them,
Yeah.
there's a part of you that's like going, okay, well, we've gotten this far. I'm not suggesting that because we all want the Dolphins to win, of course. But I applaud the article because it was remarkable. It was great.
Not if I'm laying 9 with the Bills. I don't want the Dolphins to win.
So
It's
I was having a really interesting conversation with my daughter Sam last night. As you know, works for Sunday Night Football, is an
Is
entrenched.
she
in the NFL.
on a game this weekend?
Oh yeah, she's on a game.
Oh,
She's
wow.
on, they have 2
This
games.
is a
this
girl
weekend.
1 year out of college.
She's 3 years.
She's in the
college.
truck. 3 years
She's-
out of
No,
college.
she's not in the truck to this
All
week. Anyway, so they've got 2 games this week. They got the Saturday night game with Michaels and Dungy, and then they have Chirico and Collinsworth on Sunday night. But we were talking about the Dallas Tampa Bay game, and both of us saying, "Gosh, we just want." We would normally not want Dallas to win, but we both want just Brady out of this already. Just let's move on. Let's
I wouldn't mind seeing Brady,
Oh,
pull up
my
a
God.
stunner here.
No, I am so sick of it. I am so sick of the story. I'm sick of the.
That's
the-
what makes
the
it,
fa- the
a
father.
sort of
No, it's not. It's just like
enticing.
done. No, it's not. That's not enticing to me. That is like it's like I'm tired. He's old and he's not old, but the story is getting just.
Oh, what are you talking about? He's older than George Blanda was when he left the game.
Anyway, Sammy says flat out, Dad, Dallas has not been playing well, and Brady finds a damn way to win. And that's the thing.
It's because the other team and Mike McCarthy would be perfect. I mean, to be cast in the role of the team that would play precisely into Brady's hands and allow him to execute all of his strengths at the end of a ball game when they've been shutting him down. Like a trap door. In a scene in Deer Hunter. I mean, just unbelievable. And then they just acquiesce to whatever it is that Brady does well, and McCarthy he'll do exactly that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you here. I do not disagree.
What is the reverse of the Red Sea defense, though? What is the lateral version of the Red Sea defense, where instead of leaving the middle of the field completely open, you allow Brady to dink and dunk his way on the sideline, stopping the clock on every play when he's got 37 seconds to go and 65 yards to travel for field goal range?
No. 15 seconds to go and 95 yards to travel, and he's still good.
Yeah, for a touchdown that they need desperately, plus a 3-point conversion.
Now the other game that I find intriguing, that I'm not sure how I would go on, is the Giants Minnesota.
Oh, really? Okay, we're pretty solid in our opinion here that the Giants are not going to be capable of covering 3.
Yes, Lubie. What would you like to say?
I said we were stuck on that for a second just because you never know with Kirk Cousins. But again,
the Giants beat him earlier in the year. So there's no reason to think it can't happen again. The games are far enough apart where we're not talking about beating a team twice. I mean, twice in a season, but they're far enough apart.
I know they qualify for the playoffs, but and I've been following the Giants a little more closely than some other teams because of the New York Post. And look, everything is rosy in terms of the picture as compared to what the perception was from last year. I mean, it looks like Daniel Jones is a real quarterback. Lubie hates him. I always thought he was okay. And they have a few. Barkley came back, remarkable story. Dayball, seems like a really perfect fit there as coach. They got rid of Gettleman, who was horrendous as a general manager. But I don't know. Towards the end of the year, I know they managed to clinch the playoff spot by slaughtering the Colts. The Colts were horrible. But just prior to that, it seemed like they were waffling a little bit. And Minnesota, is largely being overlooked because everybody hates Kirk Cousins, but they were 13-4, and they are at home. So I don't think 3 is a big spread there.
I don't either. And I also, I look at the Jacksonville Charger game going, goodness, where do I fit?
That's a tough one. That's a toss-up.
That is a real tough one, only because, Doug Peterson, man, God bless him. He's got Jacksonville believing. I mean, they really are believing. what a difference in coaching, right? You've got this
Your boy Urban, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
my boy Urban. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Are you kidding me? My man.
Not only was he coaching the Gators to great heights, but I
Ohio
understand
State.
he couldn't discuss you anymore. I mean, and the epitome of fraud there. I mean, this Bankman-Fried guy has more credibility than Urban Meyer does at this stage, and he's going to do life. I mean, he's finished. This kid with the curly hair. That's a good ball game, and a couple of interesting stories there. And of course, what will happen is, and this is the problem we have, Tony, with the Dolphins, is that there's no word out there, about Tua and what the hell is going on with this guy. Nothing. They asked Mike McDaniel about it, and he started speaking in tongues. And is he going to be on the field today practicing? Because I would think, Tony,
it's been radio silence completely, which is odd.
Would you agree, though, that doesn't bode well for him playing? I mean, unless he's Willis Reed, and that without Tua,
different kind of injury.
he has to be on his game, though. I mean, like really sharp in this game for them to have a chance, in my opinion. And I don't think Teddy Bridgewater or Skylar Thompson can do it.
No, I don't either. And that goes back to the Baltimore-Cincinnati game. So the question is, does Lamar play? If Lamar plays, it's a whole different game.
But like, if he's playing, where has he been?
What about ring rust?
Ankle sprain, but they don't even talk about it.
Yeah.
That situation's freaking weird. And even if he plays, I still think the Bengals win. That's the thing with that.
Since he's a good team.
I think Cincinnati wins too. I agree with you, but it makes it for a more exciting game. Now, in terms of the Dolphins, I honestly, I hate to say this, but I think Tua, if he plays, makes it a closer game. I just find it hard to believe that at Buffalo, this first playoff game, it's going to be hard to win that. You got to overcome more than the team.
I'll tell you this, Tony,
a lot more than the team.
We might have to make some adjustments to our original thing, and adjustments are allowable, right? Sometimes you have to rethink your position a little bit, and a 16 parlay is a virtual impossibility. But if we do hit this, and Lubie's going in on this, I don't know if you want a piece of it, Tony. I'll throw you a piece,
Sure.
Anyway, just out of gratuity for the fine job that you do here on the show. We're going to Texas Roadhouse.
You got it.
My dime if this 16 parlay hits. Now, we might have to make some adjustments here. I'm not sure if he wants to weigh in on this.
We're going to. Hey, listen. I love the offer, and I will take you up on it. But we're going to go to Texas Roadhouse regardless.
Regardless, yeah.
Right, which is even better because that means that could constitute me paying off my end of the debt.
Yeah, exactly.
Which would be great. And all courtesy of the great Ed Garcia, who is in kind of a small box here. It almost looks like that show on ESPN where they compete with their opinions. What is that? Around the Horn. Yeah, we look a little around the hornish here. How are you, Ed Garcia? Texas Roadhouse. I mean, unbelievable joint, and we're happy to have you on the show.
Good morning. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay.
Yeah, you sound good.
Yeah, you sound good.
Good. I'm here in a little chilly Louisville, Kentucky. We just had our kickoff the year meeting here with everyone that just does what I do, all our directors, and I'll tell you, we're fired up. So very, very excited to be here this morning.
Well, it's great to have you here, and from Louisville. I mean,
gentlemen love that city.
Yeah, I mean, my God,
Muhammad Ali and Churchill Downs.
Yeah,
and Schnellenberger.
And
bourbon.
And bourbon. Let's not forget bourbon.
Rick Pitino. Yeah.
Don't forget Segreto here. Bourbon. Hey, listen. Was there a part of you that enjoyed the fact that TCU was speedboated out of that stadium before the game even started?
That was to halftime. It was a game. It was really exciting to watch, and I kind of had a feeling about that. But there is definitely mixed emotions. You wonder how would have Michigan done, and why we played so flat the week prior, and all the different pieces. So it's definitely a lot. But there was a lot of times I kept saying Michigan should be there right now. But and really at the same time, I mean, Ohio State could have been there too because they had a couple of costly mistakes that cost them from being at the national championship. But really, I'll tell you, there was 300 of us because we all came in here Monday morning for this big kickoff the year meeting, and By halftime, I wanted to say there was 50 people after, during halftime, 50 people left in the bar because they could tell you it wasn't a game.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's talk about the fact that we've got all these amazing playoff games happening.
Yes.
We've got games on Saturday, games on Sunday, games on Monday, and it goes through until February 11th for the Super Bowl. I want to talk about giving people ideas of what they can do if they're going to have a party and how Texas Roadhouse can play a role. Because we always talk about going to Texas Roadhouse, using the app, which is a wonderful thing, and enjoying the culture and the atmosphere of Texas Roadhouse. But you can create your own atmosphere if you're having a party at your house with the great Texas Roadhouse food. So let's talk about how that can happen, because there are multiple ways. They can get it without being cooked. They can cook it themselves, right, Ed? They can get it cooked. They can get all the sides, however they want to do it. So give us a look at it.
Hey, a couple of really big things. We don't have to do the entire thing. We can help out with different bits and pieces. Call your local Texas Roadhouse to work with you, especially if you give them enough notice, because just a reminder, we make our food from scratch. So, and that will save you a ton of time. One of the big things that, especially for those that want to have that health conscious option, if you're going to be having a little party at your house, is the salad. Yeah, you can go to your local grocery store and buy those, pre-made salads. It's filled with nitrogen and it's got that light metallic taste and all that stuff. And that's how it stays green for weeks. But you can go to Texas Roadhouse. We'll chop it fresh, clean for you that day with made from scratch dressings. And we have some really, really awesome dressings. So that's just something to think about right there. But, we have party platters of ribs, boneless wings, and all different things that you can do. And if you want, just a whole bunch of steaks, if you want to have some really awesome steaks, appetizers, whatever it may be, we're more than happy to help out. And, just say, hey, you're on your way to somewhere else and you want to just come in and have a quick meal before you go to the game, use the mobile app, go on in, and that way you don't have to wait these long waits and really just enjoy a nice home cooked meal.
And I think I know you can use the app, but what's great is you can use the app to place your order, and then they're going to let you know when the order is going to be ready. So you don't have to sit there and wait for 30 minutes in the parking lot. They're going to let you know, and they're going to bring it out to you, and it's awesome. I mean, you can get, if you just want the bread, for goodness sake, with the cinnamon honey butter. I mean, that in of itself is a great appetizer. But I think that's a wonderful way in which you can take part in this. But you can really enjoy the atmosphere of Texas Roadhouse for those games, which was something that I would love to do.
Absolutely.
Hey, here's the thing. Super Bowl parties. I have my 5 essential Bs to make a good Super Bowl party, Ed. But I'm going to throw in a TR at the end here because this would be a great idea. It would be beer, booze, broads, a big screen TV, and a bookmaker. 5 Bs that are essential to a good Super Bowl party. But what if you had, pre-ordered your stuff from Texas Roadhouse? Do you guys get involved in a lot of catering on that particular day? Because I would imagine this would be the way to go, man. And then pretend you grilled it yourself.
Oh, 100%.
And you grilled it
Yeah.
yourself.
It really is a big day for us for a lot of the caterings because, again, I'm sure you've done plenty of spreads yourself. It's just so time consuming, and it takes away from you enjoying the game.
Pain in the ass. Yeah.
Giving, preparing for all the family that I had over. It was a full-time job, just prepping. So, and I even cheated a little bit. I had the fresh baked bread. I had the Texas Roadhouse mashed potatoes, so I could just take some things off my plate. That way I could execute the turkeys and all the other stuff. So yeah, it's a huge help and a lot of fun, and it tastes great. And hey, you know what? We won't tell anybody if you want to pass it off as your own.
That's it, man. I shucked all in his corn, and I got this big vat of corn on the car. The corn that you guys put out. Fantastic. But even if it was just the sides, when you were going to grill some burgers already, you go to the butcher shop there, get your stuff, and then, you have everything else all ready to go. And like you said, you don't have to worry, about every little detail there, and you miss the entire game, which has happened to me on several occasions.
Yeah, and Texas Roadhouse knows how to do a takeout, because when you get it, it's still a home. It's piping hot. They know how to get your French fries home and still crispy. How do they do that? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, with the French fries, I'll tell you, we spent a lot of time on packaging. Last year at this time, it was 2 days of our meetings was just testing different packaging and different things like that, and execution. So very, very proud of our team of making that happen.
Well, we are proud to have you as a partner, and we hope people take us up on this, because this is the great way to get ready for the Super Bowl. You can practice your Super Bowl party with these playoff games. That's what I do.
Yeah. And if we hit this 16 parlay, which I think is going to be a cinch by the time we make a few changes, Ed,
Hey,
we'll be
count me
back-to-back nights at Texas Roadhouse. Back-to-back.
Count me in.
All right. You
All
got
right,
to
well,
peek.
Ed, listen, enjoy the bourbon tasting.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Have a
yeah.
great day, guys. Thank you.
Sounds
All
good.
right,
Wow.
talk to you later, Ed. Yeah. I know
Kentucky.
Lubie's been texting me the entire time of that conversation going, it is not the Super
not
Bowl,
gonna
it's the
tease
big game. It's
Defo
not
said
the
it 7 times.
it's not the Super Bowl. Is it the
How-
Super
how-
Bowl? Wait a minute. Is it the Super Bowl? No, it's not the Super Bowl. Wait a minute. I think the big game is the Super Bowl, but the big game is the Super Bowl.
In
It's
an
crazy.
advertised, it's
But
the
if you're
big-
associated a sponsor with it, you know how that game goes. So, Tony.
Oh,
I don't get it. I mean, I look at it this way.
Yeah, I'm so
You know,
tired
and
of that,
I've had
too.
arguments many times with the lovely and talented Leslie Visser, who were trying to get, to provide some dirt on Mike Lupica, who's going to join us on a show.
I
later on.
love Mikey boy. Mike and
Yeah.
I and all those guys used to hang out, especially during Super Bowls. Oh my gosh, we would.
Yeah, Lupica shooting from the lip, man, fantastic.
Yeah,
But
great guy.
I
Great
believe
friend. Great friend.
I mean, my memory is so bad now with the, slight onset of Alzheimer's that I believe that he was part of that a very fantastic young staff at the Boston Globe when Leslie was breaking in as a sports writer there with like Will McDonough and Bud Collins and legendary guys
Yeah,
that were writing at the
legendary
Globe
for
at the
sure.
time. Yeah. So
For sure.
I'm pretty sure Lupica was one of those guys. Mike Mayo, actually, believe it or not, was one of those guys.
Yeah. I remember I was in. There's an area of Vermont where they have a bunch of outlet stores and things, but it's a beautiful area. It's
They have a
where,
newspaper there, right?
yeah, they had. Well, this
You get
was
one?
in Manchester, Vermont. I was in Manchester, Vermont, and I'm walking in a J. Crew store, and I hear Segreto. What are you doing here? And it was Lupica.
Lupica, wow.
Yeah. And I go, well, what are you doing here? Well, right outside of Manchester is a town called Dorset. Very famous town. Judd Hirsch lives there. And in Manchester, we've got, Michael J. Fox got married there. And it's just, legendary people. But in Dorset during the summer, they have one of the biggest, if not the biggest, summer horse shows. And his daughter was competing. So it was nice. It was nice to see him. We have a nice conversation, and God bless him, man. I love his books. I love what he did for his children's books. I mean, everything he's done is just masterful.
He's teamed up with this guy,
James Patterson.
Yeah,
famous.
wow. That's
one
that's
of the
not
most successful authors monetarily.
That's not a bad guy to team up with there.
Right? I mean, you're going to make money with this guy. It's like teaming up with Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
On some product that you invented, while you were stoned at home. All right, more coming up with Tony Segreto. More old school. A lot of stuff going on. I know it's kind of like I made this reference earlier, but it's true. Like where, you have to arrange the price from lowest to highest of items on The Price is Right to win like a new Mercedes or something, and they tell you you've got 3 of them wrong. All right, but you don't know which 3, so now you have to rearrange them. And of course, you're worried in the process that you're going to take down one of the ones that you actually had correct all the way.
Exactly.
Now, I believe DeMar Hamlin is going to come out of the smoke and lead the Buffalo Bills onto the field there,
100%.
which is why I think this first game is a gimme, in addition to the fact.
Listen, I think if they could, I don't think that will happen, but I would not be surprised if they put him up on the screen. If they figure
he'll
out
be
way-
a presence there, no doubt.
He's
If he doesn't do the
right.
anthem,
He's right.
you think he
You
does
know.
God Bless America before the game?
He's the anthem.
Just belts out a tune like he was Kate Smith in a Flyers game.
I don't think that's going to happen either. But God bless him, man. He's making a remarkable.
Oh, no, it's great.
No,
I mean,
so
great
is
to
Mason.
see him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Fluke. I mean, happened.
I'll tell you what.
There,
The 2 people that I'm so happy to hear are getting credit is the assistant trainer who gave him the CPR.
Yeah, that's not their usual thing, right?
And the equipment guy who was able to get the helmet off.
Yeah.
Because they had to cut that off, and to be able to get that off the way they did, or
it sounds
if they had
creepy,
to have, I'm not sure how much. I think it was the face mask they had to cut first, and they can give them the CPR.
So what do they have out there? Like a
Yeah,
chainsaw? How the hell did they do this?
I don't, listen.
Because I mean, you wouldn't
guys have
figure
all
they would be equipped with this stuff. I guess that
They
make
have to be
sense.
ready for
Yeah.
everything. So,
Wow.
but the assistant,
Great job, though.
Yeah, I mean, well, the doctors even say if he didn't get the CPR administered
Right.
within seconds,
He
he
was
wouldn't
finished.
be in the position that he would be in with the cognitive responses and what he's going through. So, it's just remarkable. And you know what, Josh Allen has proved to be so human. I mean, if you didn't like him before,
I love the guy, man. I've said it before.
Yeah,
Love
if you
him.
didn't like him before, and you should be liking him now. And if you don't like him now, then shame on you, because you know what? He's a great quarterback. He's a great ambassador for this game. He's a fine human being. And yeah, he plays on a different team. So what? I mean, you admitting that someone is that good in so many different ways and what he means to a community is
I think he's won everybody over. I believe. Certainly me. I mean, not that I would be anti a guy because he played for the Bills so much, but I mean, his whole persona is just fantastic, and his approach to the game then is also delightful because he's one of those guys. It's like, let's get it on. He's got a Mills Lane mentality. He just goes out there and plays, and somebody smacks him in the face. He says, "Hey, nice hit." Gets up like Brett Favre, and fires the ball down the field on the next play. Says, "I got it this time."
It's just what I have liked, and I was telling Roseanne this the other day, my wife. We were watching, I think it was Sunday morning, and I, for whatever reason, I so rarely watch the NFL Network, so rarely. But I turned on Sunday game, NFL, whatever it's called, and they're like, it's like the ACC network. They don't have the best talent in the world.
NFL Network, they got some good people on there.
It's okay.
Our man Steve White has become very prominent there.
But I thought Steve Mariucci could not have been any better than he was on Sunday talking about this whole situation in Buffalo. And Kurt Warner was exceptional as well. I mean, I stood up and applauded. I mean, I said to my wife, you got to see this. I mean, they were human. They were human beings. And that's what I love about what Josh Allen stands for right now. He's a human being. He's showing his emotions. He's not pretending to be somebody he's not. And I think in these instances, the real true leaders and the professionals are the ones who allow themselves to be vulnerable.
You ought to put up the no chance banner, behind you, because very eloquently put. I mean, I don't know what they do with Hamlin in this game. He's going to be, either on the scoreboard or something. I mean,
I think
this is the most monumental, emotional.
Coming out on a Buffalo.
Ever had to. I mean, I don't know what the score was when Lou Gehrig made the speech at a game that day. I would imagine the Yankees.
Can we find that out? Yeah. Can we find that out?
If they lost that game, then there is no God. That's just the truth.
Lubie, is there a way you can do some research on that?
I'm imagining it was like a 19-1 clobbering of whoever played them, right? Guy says he's the luckiest man on the face of the earth. He's going to die in a couple of weeks. And that's where we're at with this thing. I mean, we're facing that amount, if you were a Dolphin fan,
absolutely,
of, just overwhelming intangible pressure.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I could not agree with you more. And that's where I think Dave Hyde was brilliant in sitting down and writing what he wrote, because I just think that's the way it's going to be. But yeah, man, that's going to be something. I can't wait to see it.
You think Belichick was tempted to call our buddy Mike Westhoff at halftime and say, how the fuck do you defend a kick, man? I mean, the weirdest thing about this season, and we'll get into some of this, I guess, impressions, because I thought it was a great, wildly entertaining NFL season.
I did too.
And college football was wildly entertaining also.
The whole year. Yeah, absolutely.
Really, really good. I mean, I haven't really gotten into the other sports as much as I usually do yet, because, football really caught the focus of not just me, but, obviously the world's attention, right? As Jim Sarney's reminding us about, people that are making monumental accomplishments in snow skiing and stuff.
Yes.
Football really has been the sport that's in focus, and for good reason. I mean, they've really come up with just an immense amount of entertainment. But I think one of the great stories is that Belichick lost his shot at the playoffs, not so much, with the 2 kickoff returns, which was already a catastrophe, but off that Salugi play in the Raider game.
Yeah.
Now it turns out to be just as important as losing that last game, which, was a much more difficult assignment to beat the Buffalo Bills on the road.
Agreed.
And they're toe-to-toe with the Bills, except for these clown plays. But Imagine Belichick's season ruined by a clown play, which I just find that an hysterical thread through a year where he actually, I think, acquitted himself pretty well as a head coach. All right, we'll get
Yeah.
into a lot of stuff here, Tony. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No. I agree. I'm not a Belichick fan, but considering what he had to deal with and
A clown play.
and I have to tell you, I thought Mac Jones at the end of the season started playing pretty well, and
Is that right?
yeah, I don't know if he's ever going to lead him to the promised land. I don't know if he's going to be kind of that one of those guys that is just good enough to get to the playoffs, but not good enough to get past the first 2 rounds. You know,
His second season was not as promising in terms
No,
of
it was
evolution as
not.
his first.
Okay, so this is now out of left field, even though this was before whatever you're talking about. The Garrick speech happened between a doubleheader against the horrendous Washington Senators at the time, who were like 24 games behind the then 3-time in a row Yankee champions.
Wow.
No, don't tell me.
They lost the first game 3-2. Babe Ruth came out. Garrick came out. They all gave speeches in between, and then the Yankees went on to pull a DeMar Hamlin and won 11-1.
Oh, there you go.
Can
Good
you
research,
imagine?
Lubie.
Can you imagine being at that game?
They're flat as a pancake, right?
And watching Ruth and Garrick come out. My goodness me!
And the Babe, he had that throat cancer thing working, so
Probably came out. He had the throat cancer, and he came out with a hot dog in his hand. Probably
raspy voice. Yeah, I mean, probably a beer. And Lou, I mean, that was really of all speeches. Period. I mean, you could have Winston Churchill, any of the great orators, John F. Kennedy, a very inspiring speaker. But you can have any of the speeches all time, any of the great speeches. Lincoln, 7 years ago, we all studied that. And Garrick's speech is up there with any of them, right?
When I think I mentioned this to you back in '84. I was asked to, I was given the honor of running the Olympic torch, part of the.
Oh yeah, you had the torch in your
Olympic
hand.
torch.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So I had my leg of the run for Atlanta. And so they said that, that they will have a camera on me and they'd mic me up and, I could say what I wanted to say. And literally the first thing that came to my mind was I'm the luckiest man on the face of the earth right now.
Wow.
I'm
Were you
carrying,
wearing the wreath? Did you have the Olympic?
No. But I will tell you, just kind of pull the curtain back. So by the way, I have the torch.
Don't tell me you handed it off to Ali.
No. But you're sitting there and they tell you, okay, you've got, when they ask you and you get all the gear and they tell you you're going to be running 0.8 of a mile. You got to be able to be in shape to do it. And
all right.
you got to
do a little training anyway.
You got to be strong enough to hold the torch for that long. And I'm thinking to myself,
how heavy is this torch?
It's a couple pounds, but
wow.
you're running with it. So,
Yeah,
but here's the daunting task. You're sitting there thinking to yourself,
Can't go out.
I can't let this flame go.
Yeah.
I can't let this flame
So what
go
did you do?
out.
Bring a lighter with you?
Yeah. I had a Bic in my pocket.
A little kerosene bag.
Oh, goodness me.
Well, that's quite a distinction, Tony. I mean, that's
No,
not
but my point is
away.
no. But my point is that the first thing that came to my mind when they wanted to hear what
the
I had
Garrick
to say,
speech, yeah.
it was the Garrick speech, and I said I really do consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth right now. Here's this kid, Italian kid from Paterson, New Jersey, and I'm sitting here carrying an Olympic torch. How in the world is that?
You and Reuben Hurricane Carter, man, Paterson, New Jersey. Yeah. All right, we have to
and Bud Abbott.
Yeah.
I think
Bud Abbott was not from there.
I believe so. I
even
believe
finer distinction there than the
No, not Bud, Lou Costello. Lou Costello.
Lou.
Yeah,
I mean,
Lou.
Who is better than Lou in comedy history?
Oh.
All right, we're coming back with more with Tony Segreto. More Old School, also brought to you by Catholic Health Services. Our thanks to Ed Garcia, Texas Roadhouse Restaurants for their fine support here of Old School with Tony Segreto. More to come in just a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:40. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Hey, listen, though I have to tell you, there's no joke, man. We had this. There were the three of us. These two steaks. In fact, we have leftovers. We'll have it for lunch today. I mean, it was incredible. Absolutely.
I just love that.
And they're such good
isn't
people.
It
you know,
snowing? Like, I love that you're making your son grill in like -10. Isn't it like 15 degrees there now?
I'm not making him do anything. Okay. He chose to do what he wanted to do. He's 28 years old. He's had a great he's had a great education. You know what? A nice bourbon white grilling is not so bad in the cold.
You
know? No, it's great, man. You have on the table, instead of salt and pepper, you have chapstick.
Exactly.
Well, Tony with a shotgun going, I got one.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Well, there's physical evidence there. I mean, there's the DNA.
You know when you talk about Hank Aaron, when he was like congratulating Barry Bonds?
Yeah.
Bud Selig had like the guys in the background holding, like that smile looks like that. Like Tony's in the background off camera. Yes. Like Tony says he's the one taking the picture. He's not. His wife's taking the picture. Tony's in the background in the darkness.
Yeah.
No.
Yelling, is it ready yet? Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Don't get cold feet. Nice, man. In the middle of a blizzard, you send your son out there to grill some steaks.
Yeah.
We love you, Tony, man. You're unbelievable. Hey, I mentioned this guy earlier. You worked for a long time with Ross Nobles, did you not?
Ross is a great. He
was very serious about what he was doing, but he was a pretty good golfer. I was talking about
he's excellent
Nat Moore still owes me a 9-iron from some charity tournament I was in. And Ross Nobles was the guy that was hitting all the good shots in our scramble. And I was shanking him all day long, except for this one lucky shot where, I sculled the line drive and it landed right by the hole. And to this day, I haven't collected my 9-iron. Yeah. But Nat's a serious guy. I mean, He doesn't like to get involved in kind of sports talk buffoonery.
No, let me tell you about Ross, because first of all, he was my photographer we traveled the world, literally.
Yes.
We were in Japan together. We were in London. Just all over the world together. And just a remarkable man, great father, great husband, 2 beautiful girls. But because of Ross, I'm in Vermont.
Oh, yeah? Get out of here.
So his wife, Linda.
You owed him money and you had to leave town?
No, his wife, Linda, was a travel agent. 40 years ago, she was a travel agent. And she was just starting in the business. And we were out on a story or out of town. And I was saying, gosh, Rose and I are trying to figure out where we're going to go for for vacation. We really don't know. He goes, Linda's a travel agent, maybe she can help you. And I go, gosh, we've never used a travel agent, but why not? Let's give her a shot. But let's give her a hand up here and give her some business. So she suggested we knew we wanted to go to Hawaii, but then she suggested Vermont. She suggested this place to go, and
Wow.
that's what led to where we are today.
Quite a different route, Hawaii and Vermont. Now, what time of the year was this that you made your way up there for the first time? Summertime there is a whole different story.
It was summer. It
okay.
was, Rose wanted to go
very
to the
quaint
beach.
and nice. I've been there in the summertime.
Yeah. Rose wanted to go to the beach, and I wanted to go to the mountains. So
Yeah.
it's very quaint here in the winter, and it's very quaint here in the fall. The quaintness doesn't stop because of the seasons now.
Now, what, I mean, just out of curiosity, what's the condition out there today in terms of the weather?
Today, let's see. When I came down to the studio today here, it was 5 degrees.
5 degrees.
5 degrees, and
you felt good about that.
Yeah, I was fine. I was just
nice.
It's beautiful. The sun's shining. It's just there's not a cloud in the sky.
Are you there by yourself in this cabin? I mean,
right now I am. Roseanne had to go be with her mom, and I'm going to be here for a few more days, and then going to head back.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the woodsman aspect of this.
With
you, Tony Segreto. After a brilliant career in the spotlight, constantly in the public eye, as you mentioned, with Ross Nobles, and he was a very.
By the way, it's Noble, not
Noble. Okay, Ross Noble.
Okay, yeah.
But he was a decent golfer, man. He could hit the ball.
Yeah, great man.
Fine, real nice guy. Very quiet, not inclined to a whole lot of. Hysterics and buffoonery. All right. So anyway, we tried to formulate this thing. You were talking a little bit about the college game, and one of the great stories is this Stetson Bennett. And you mentioned Duggan. It was a great story. Now we're coming back next year. And this has been the big debate on all of these, conjure up any kind of debate sports talk shows with Screaming A and all of these other people, and that is has Georgia eclipsed Alabama as the team?
Oh, right now, yeah.
In college football, but when you have to say yes to that, I mean they won back-to-back championships. How do you not accord them that?
Yeah, right now, it's
absolutely. And I have to say, I started looking at some of the tweets yesterday because my daughter said you have got to see some of the tweets that people had with Saban being on the pregame show.
Yeah,
right. And
what were people saying?
Just like it was awkward and how it was. You have to see him because the one thing I noticed, and there were a couple of tweets about this. Who's the new guy on the set?
McAfee.
Yeah. Pat McAfee.
He seemed to be tiring of McAfee very quickly.
But he was laughing at McAfee. Yeah. He was laughing. I said, "Oh my goodness, that's the first time I've ever seen Nick Saban laugh."
Showed a little personality.
And the tweets were actually like this. But if I see this one more time,
with Nick.
Yeah,
but I wish he would say something, though, Tony. I really do. I mean,
I'm
thinking, you know what? This is one time I want to hear what Nick Saban has to say about this game.
He's not going to say.
I don't want to hear two fine football teams or
Yeah,
any of this stuff.
no.
I mean,
And
tell
you know
me,
what?
hey, listen, decode TCU for me. If you're bringing your offense against, TCU in this
not
game,
his
what the hell are you doing,
personality.
Nick? Yeah.
Listen, his life is so guarded that
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's not guarded when he's home.
I would have expected him to pull a duck out of his suit jacket pocket and start shilling for Affleck. At that point.
I thought, I did think that there were some moments where, he seemed a little more, and I hate to say it like this, but this is the truth. He was a little more human when Corso was named to the College Hall of Fame, and I thought he showed Lee respect, which obviously he deserves. But you could see that no matter how much they were paying him, he's just not comfortable in that arena, and didn't want to be there. But
I just wish he would say something. I really do. Whenever they have these coaches that should have phenomenal insight.
Yeah.
It's like we've been saying all along. Every time we bring up the concept of color analysts, it's like give me something.
Give me something. Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Give me
we've all
something.
seen plays diagrammed. So if you're going to diagram every play after it happens, all right. Look, this is how this guy got open. I understand all of that, but let me know what's going on inside the game. And, I thought Saban could have provided some real insight there. I knew he wouldn't.
Yeah.
But, I would have been curious to see what he thought the real flaws were of these teams and how he would attack them. Because the professor actually nailed it. He said that TCU's defense, was giving up like monster play after play to Michigan, even though they won the game. and that there would be no way that they could stop Georgia, which they scored on 10 of 11 possessions at one point.
Yeah, and I think that he's not he's not going to do anything. He's not going to criticize Kirby. Kirby was his guy.
Yep.
He's not going to do that. And if he's not going to criticize Kirby, he's certainly not going to criticize Sonny. And so it just listen. He was good window dressing. It was nice to say they had Nick Saban on the set. And that's
does he own another jacket besides that blue blazer that he wears in the commercial? What would they give him the jacket, Tony? You've done a lot of this kind of stuff where they give you the clothes.
Yeah, they give them to you, or I don't know. But I'd be curious to see if he decides to finally give it up. What Brady's going to be like in the booth. I'd be very curious. To see
I'm afraid, he's going to be. You know what? I always thought
he can either be he's either going to be really good or just mediocre.
Dreadful.
Danny Boy could have been great because Danny has a wry sense of humor and is a real wise guy also.
Yeah.
Okay, and not a wise guy in the sense, the Italian thing. I don't want to get into any kind of jackpot there, but he can be very caustic and say some really funny things.
Yeah.
And subtly too, because it's Marino that's saying this stuff. But he didn't do it as an announcer. He just he stayed middle of the road. Don't criticize any players. But there's a way you can do this without saying, hey, you know what, that guy sucks. I mean,
there is definitely a way. There's you know who was great at that? Hank. God bless his soul. Hank could be critical of somebody in a very. I mean, off air he would be all over him. But when he was on the air, he would figure out a way to say something about a guy that was okay, probably other people wouldn't say.
I mean, my issue with Hank on that was always he would be crucifying a guy like Bud Selig and then get him on the air. And, because Selig would be making the rounds trying to promote something in Major League Baseball. So
but everybody's,
and then it'll be like, oh, Bud, the criticism of you was so unfair. I'm like, come on, Hank, don't cave in like that, baby. You got to nail this guy with all your stuff after talking trash about him for so long. But no, he was.
I'm curious to see what Brady's going to do.
I think he's going to be a little too cliche riddled. I believe that.
I agree because
that's how he's been his whole career. I mean, he's never really said anything that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he doesn't talk, but he just there's no substance there beyond the obvious.
I know you're ambivalent about Tony Romo, but there are some times Tony Romo gives you some
Romo, he's all right. I mean, I take him over almost all of the other guys at this point. Only because at least he's willing to speculate, on the thinking and some of the other things that go into it besides just saying after the play is over, wow, I mean, what a run by so-and-so.
I guess I think, too, that I go back to this, okay, and I don't mean to harp on it, but I want to see guys and women when they're announcing. I want to see them be human beings for goodness' sake. Be a fan for a moment. I mean, I'm looking at Aikman and Joe Buck, and they're like mannequins. They don't move. They don't offer any.
There's no difference in the game than there was last year when they had horrible announcers.
No.
Really. I mean, in terms of your enjoyment of watching them. Yeah.
None whatsoever. I'm excited to see Al Michaels and Tony Dungy work on Saturday night.
Dungy's going to be the color analyst, yeah.
All right. So NBC has two games. They have one on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
Tirico and Collinsworth will do the Sunday, and Michaels and Dungy will do.
Throw
Saturday
a little Dungy
night.
In there. But he's reluctant to say anything about even the slightest negative variety. And I'm a big Tony Dungy fan. In terms of his person, I had the pleasure of a few times of interviewing him, for longer than a few minutes, and found them to be delightful. I mean, just fantastic. But as a commentator, I don't know that he ever really says anything of any great significance that you don't already know. So
what do you think of Jason Garrett?
I'm not sure that I have an opinion on Garrett. I mean, you would think right away, just out of the chute, that he'd be a stiff. But I haven't seen enough of him to really say, that, wow. I would lean towards that he's doing a better job than I would have anticipated.
Okay.
Yeah, but nothing out. He's not Al DeRogatis. Let's put it that way.
No.
Few people are. Yeah. Or Matt, or somebody that just gives you an illustration of what's going on by, having a personality and not just being so technical that we've all heard that stuff before, right? I mean, you know,
Exactly.
and we've
We
all
have.
seen plays diagrammed, and not every run is the most exciting thing that happens, you know, in the history of the planet, right?
No, it's
where a
not.
guy goes for
No.
2 yards and they go, "Oh, what a heroic, and
Yeah, oh
sensational
my
play!
God.
Oh my
Did you
God!"
see that block? Oh my
It's
goodness.
like, yeah, I saw a fat guy fall forward, and you know, because he's 6 feet tall, he gained 2 yards. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God!
I wanna say something here. We were talking about the first responders for Damar
Yeah.
Hamlin. I thought to myself when I was watching this and then hearing the result, then hearing how
Yeah.
amazing they were, I said, that's Catholic Health Services.
It really is.
Every day. Yeah.
That's Catholic Health Services every day. Every single solitary day,
Yep.
especially when it comes to rehab, when it comes to what they do, and that's what they do. You have a staff of great people. You have not just great people at what they do, but great people with passion and compassion. They involve the entire family. They communicate with the family. They tell the family what to expect. They tell the family what to expect when the patient leaves, and how they can help the rehab when they get home. We cannot thank Catholic Health Services enough for being partners with us for all this time, and we just hope they have a great year, and people continue to use them and take advantage of the ability of great people to take care of you. God forbid you need rehab in any form or fashion.
Outstanding. Tony Segreto. All right, we'll come back. We'll wrap up All School. We can actually, spend a few minutes after 9 o'clock if you're all right with
Yeah,
that.
I'm more than fine with that, man.
We're going to bring on James Patterson and Mike Lupica about 10 after here. So
Great.
we're just going to continue the show. That's the
I
way we're operating.
love Mikey boy. He's a good guy. If I don't see him, you give him my best, huh?
Definitely will. Yeah, I'm not sure how this conversation is going to go because, I'm not sure what level of sports fan James Patterson is. Well, we've been surprised, and Lubie dug this clip up from Buzz Bissinger, who obviously is a very accomplished author, and he had written a book about this situation that happened, I think, in like World War One. It might have been two, but where there were two contingents of there were Marines and Army guys, and they all happen to have a lot of like high caliber college football players in their platoon or their unit, and so they ended up playing a game. And it was called the Mud Bowl.
Oh, I remember you telling me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, yeah.
You have that clip, Lubie? I think Tony would enjoy this, but we'll come back with it in just a moment here, and we'll dive into a couple of things with Tony on All School in just a moment. Now that. But stick around, people. Yeah, we will have James Patterson.
Oh yeah,
I want
to tell you something to look. I want to give you some.
Give me a little Lupica dirt, that I can throw at him there.
Well, no, I'm not
going to
give you that, but I got something for you.
It's 8:58.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
We welcome Buzz Bissinger to the program. Buzz, how are you? Thanks so much for joining us here on After Hours.
Hey, I'm good. Quite an introduction. I appreciate it. I'm good. How are you guys?
You're doing well, and it's well deserved.
We're doing all right. Yeah, I got to go with the geographical thing though, because you spend a lot of your time in the Pacific Northwest. I don't know. Is that Seattle? That your living part?
Now we're in the middle of nowhere. We're basically in the southwestern corner of Washington State, near the border with Oregon. Fundamentally, where Lewis and Clark ended up. My wife is from the Northwest, and we found this place and said, let's go for it.
Yeah, because I was watching, even in a sophisticated part of the state like Seattle, the crowd, many of the people that were at that Seahawks game, seeing Russell Wilson come back, looked like they were deckhands on Deadliest Catch. I mean, it's a
Well,
strange group of people
yeah,
there.
but they're good. They're good fans, though, and I'm telling you, they rattle those guys a little bit. And I would not take all your money and put it on Russell Wilson. That's all I say. I think he's a shadow of what he once was, and I can't believe what Denver's paying him.
He looked like, the maitre d' at Spago's or something, didn't he? Did you see the post-game press conference? I mean, what is this guy wearing?
Yeah, that's good. Let's just talk football. Forget the book. Who cares? Well, he's always been a sharp. He's always been a sharp dresser. I follow the game probably because I play fantasy football like everyone else. I'm glad the Seahawks won. I've always liked Pete Carroll, and everyone is on him saying this is last year he's lost control. And they played gutty, and they played well. I just think Russell's not. This has nothing to do with anything. The problem with contracts in all sports is they're being paid on past performance, and they really pay very little attention to how old they are and how much they have left. And so, a guy like Wilson's getting paid a lot for certain skills that I don't think he has anymore. They pay way too much when their best years may be well behind them.
You never know what somebody from outside the sporting world is going to have to say about the world of sports.
See how many guys and families live off the grid like he does. Yeah, and tell you what, there's a lot to be said for.
Kissinger made a lot of cash too. I mean, he could live anywhere.
Listen, there's a lot to be said for living off a dirt road in a small town, and
it's not my gap.
Fresh air.
Yeah,
it's not everybody's. For me, it's I love it. But I wanted to say a little something real quick, and I don't want this to be a Tony Segreto plug. This is not meant to be a Tony Segreto plug at all.
What are you doing now? You got a feature film?
No. But on the 13th of January, which is Friday, a week from this Friday.
It's this Friday, the 13th.
Is it? No. It's a week from this Friday. Oh,
today's,
no.
Today's the 11th,
No.
Tony.
It is this Friday. Hold on. I want
2 days from now. Are you supposed to be in town? And you're
No. I want to get the.
That's not a night in Roma coming up.
No. The exact time on the NFL Network at 9 o'clock on the NFL Network. It will be the NFL's version and the relook back in the 1972 Miami Dolphins team.
Oh yeah,
featuring interviews with Zonka and Den Herder and Greasy and Mercury Morris, and they got a little shot with me in there. But it's going to be a reflection of that year, 1972, and the magic that the Dolphins were able to spin.
Probably never happens again, right? I mean, to go through 17 games plus, possibility of 3 playoff games, 4.
Yeah,
going to be rough.
And the championship game, even though with that record, the championship game was played in Pittsburgh.
Wow, unbelievable.
Yeah,
and they had their share. Like every team that has a spectacular season, or in NFL, it's only been one undefeated team. Although the Patriots came within an eyelash there. Of doing it across 19 games, which was pretty remarkable. But anytime it happens, there's always at least one scare there. It's kind of like the team that wins the NCAA basketball championship every year. There's usually one game where some guy had to brick a 3-pointer at the end for a team to survive, and then they go on and win the title.
Well, the year the university won its first national championship over Nebraska, that year they lost their opener against Florida at Florida in Bernie's first start.
Didn't they get crushed in that game? I think they did.
Yeah, and then they had barely got by. I believe it was East Carolina.
I remember being on the sidelines at the end of that game. 12-7 was the final.
Yeah, and they go on to win it. But and so you look back at those moments where you go, whew, that was one.
Beverly
of those
was chewing on her hat.
That was
the pesky Pirates, I believe, were threatening to score down 12-7 late in the ball game. I this is my recollection now. Trying to put it together with a little visualization. And they ended up missing a play like in the right corner of the end zone, as I recall.
Yeah.
And that preserved the victory, and then preserved what turned out to be a Cinderella season for Schnellenberger and the Canes.
And by the way, I still speak with Beverly. I spoke with her at Christmas
How's she
and
doing?
New Year's. Yeah, she's doing God bless her, man. She's doing great. She is doing great. You know,
Yeah.
She's a strong woman. I tell you what, she was.
Well, yeah, and Howard, I mean, he was just one of a kind.
Yeah,
I mean, you talk about a throwback old school guy. That was Howard Schnellenberger, and he was always a gas to be around. I mean, just to hear him speak, you know, even if he was just muttering something that you couldn't even understand, it was absolutely fantastic.
I think I mentioned this to you, but I kept a couple of his voicemails after he
passed
away. Yeah,
they were unique, man. Everybody tries to do a Schnelly impression.
Well, here's the thing. He would always be, I'm not going to do a Schnelly impression, but he would call if I wasn't able to get to the phone and go, Tony, this is Howard Schnellenberger. Like, who else would it be? Nobody else I know sounds like that.
Yeah, I thought it was Tiny Tim. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Tony, we were at a 2nd and 10 at the 32-yard line.
Stop.
We were worried about the fumble.
Stop.
I love Schnelly, man.
Stop. How could you not?
I mean, well, you know, my favorite, remembering, memories of Schnellenberger was I was paired with him as a chef at a charity event at a Benihana's.
Yeah.
And Schnelly was actually pretty good at it, man. He was clanking those knives and forks and whatever with the spatula, and he was flipping shrimp, like he was juggling at the circus. It was great.
Yeah,
it's really fantastic. All right, Tony, always a pleasure, my friend. We're going to, continue the show, believe it or not, with James Patterson and Mike Lupica. That's coming up.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I'm glad I preceded them. Following them would not be easy. Give Mike Lupica.
Hey, you were great today. You were on your game today, Tony. I don't know if we ever established our 16 parlay, though. Did we?
I thought we did it.
My one that I'm not sure of yet is the Giants, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
I'm going to go with Jacksonville.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that.
And what about the Tampa Bay Dallas game? Looks very dicey.
Oh gosh, who did you take in that?
You know what? I just, for some stupid reason, because I've been looking at Tampa Bay all year and mystified as to how lame they are offensively. With Brady having statistically a good season, and Evans and Godwin and Leonard Fournette, a veteran guy running the football, not spectacular, but steady. I guess their offensive line blows or something. Is that it?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that Tristan Wirfs ever come back. He was their first round pick.
I don't think so. That's the thing.
A few years ago, and he might have made them even.
All right, so we're going to go with Tampa Bay on this parlay.
I just think with the Dallas choke factor. It didn't look good, as you said. I mean, they went out there to just polish things up against the Commanders, end up like, a series of atrocious turnovers to start the ball game, including a pick six. I'm not overwhelmingly impressed with Dallas. They find ways to play down to the level of whoever they're playing.
We'll see. I'm with you. I'm good. I'm good with that. I think, again, I'm curious to see if Lamar Jackson plays to make it a game. And we'll go from there. And then we'll see how DeMar Hamlin shows up at the game on Saturday. Or Sunday? On Sunday, the Buffalo Miami game. I think there'll be a camera in his room. That'll be my guess.
All right, sounds good. I think he leads them out of the tunnel, and that's it.
He doesn't.
Lights out, and they immediately put 10 on the scoreboard for Buffalo. Just as a bonus.
And if he leads them out of the tunnel, they better put 14 up for Buffalo.
Right. Free game on the slot machine. That's exactly what it feels like. All right, Tony, we love you, man. And we'll talk to you again next week. Tony Segreto.
Have a great day. Bye-bye, guys.
Old School, brought to you by Catholic Health Services, Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. Always a pleasure having Ed Garcia with us here on the program.
See you, Lubie. Have a good week, Lubie. I'll talk to you soon.
Be well, okay?
I'll keep you in the loop, man. Bye-bye.
Lubie multitasking here is we're about to bring on, and this is great. And we've extended our morning show here, and it's part of our Believe podcast as well. And quite a distinction to welcome these gentlemen, James Patterson, distinguished author, and, of course, a guy that we've enjoyed reading forever, newspapers and all of his television appearances, the books that he's written, Shooting from the Lip, Mike Lupica. And both these gentlemen join us here on the program. James, how are you?
Good. Perfect. He was telling you to stop talking about me, and I wanted to have you continue to talk about me.
Yeah, well, we were trying to dig up. I have to be honest about this. Then this is part of our game. Unfortunately, we were trying to find something from Leslie Visser, Mike, that we could bring up that might put you on the spot a little bit in terms of explanations. A la Joe Biden right now about these documents, but and she didn't get back to me. So you guys must have had a great relationship when you were working together.
Yeah.
They did.
It's being tested by this book tour, but yes, going into this book tour, we had a great relationship. Yeah.
Oh, good, because I mean, we bring up John Feinstein to Leslie, and she always brings up the story about how she tried to run him over with her car one time. So, all right, tell us about this House of Wolves. I immediately panicked because I was reminded of a bitter defeat that I took when the Jets played the old Salugi play and coughed up their ability to cover a point spread last week, and I thought of House of Wolves as being a room full of my former bookmakers, but. Tell us about this work. I mean, James, what inspired this and how did you guys end up collaborating on it?
Well, a piece of it was families, non-functioning families, which we like. And, Yellowstone we love, and Succession and the Corleones and all these kind of wonderful things. In fact, like this week, the two big books coming out will be, Prince Harry and House of Wolves. And the royal family is nothing. I mean, Harry gets added around a little bit by his brother, and
who wants to hear him cry about everything? Yeah,
that's nothing compared to the Wolves. The Wolf family, this is about a family, the Wolf family. They own the San Francisco football team, which is why football is a big element of this. And then what happens? Well, I won't tell you what happens exactly, but something happens to the family, and the Jenny, the young sister, gets a lot of power.
Excellent. All right, and this Harry thing, I mean, how much whining can you do about being royalty? He's doing more crying Mike than Danny Ainge, is he not? I mean, I've never seen a guy get away with this like this.
I think his brother just got tired of him and just started smacking him around. And we have some of that in our family. But Jim's right. The Royals would run the other way from the Wolf family. If you think of it as the Sharks versus the Jets, okay? In this case, it's the Wolves, and the Wolves would just kick ass on the Royals, 100%.
Actually, the sister smacks around one of the brothers in her book.
It sounds very exciting. Now, and how did you guys end up collaborating on this? Because obviously, James, you've had tremendous success. I mean, they go right to your wealth as soon as you go to Wikipedia. Right to your wealth.
That's what writers do. We go to bars and we meet other writers and we shoot the breeze. And we just started talking about doing a book together. And here we are with House of Wolves, and it's been fun. I mean, I've collaborated obviously with Dolly Parton and President Clinton, but Mike's the best writer I've worked with. It's really been It's been good so far. It's been for me. Although I did call my agent during the tour yesterday, and I said, "Get me out of here."
He tried to get out of a moving car to get away from me yesterday. Fortunately, with Jim, they have the child lock. So he couldn't get out of the car. But no, it's been a blast for this to happen to me at this stage in my own career. Was unbelievable, and we have had so much fun. We have a stupid amount of fun working on these books. We talk 4 and 5 times a day. Probably, I think Jim's going to start blocking my calls. But by the end of the day, I'll say, okay, one more call if we try this, and then there's like 2 more calls after that, and then we're done working for the day.
Now we've done some interviews and whatever. Somebody asked us, the mob is involved in the book. And he's talking about the NFL owners.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot to answer for, especially now with this partnership with FanDuel. Mike, with the aversion that there was, I mean, holy Pete Rose, I'm waiting for him to be named commissioner of one of these sports entities. Did you ever foresee this? I mean, this level of partnership?
No, and I appreciate the fact that you clearly have a gambling problem, but
because we're trying to put together a 16 parlay.
Yeah. No. That line, holy Pete Rose, is that the line I heard?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he put that in.
All right.
This stuff, it makes me sick. The FanDuel DraftKings, it's like a pandemic that's running through sports now, and the one woman, I forget whether it's DraftKings or FanDuel, there's a point where you feel like she's moved into your house with you, and yes. I can't watch this stuff anymore. And did I ever think this would happen? No. Did I ever think there'd be sports teams in Las Vegas? No, and instead of running the other way from gambling or acting like it didn't exist, they've now embraced it. And even we stayed away from it in this book. The mob does kind of maybe
a little.
There's a little look-see with the mob in this book.
Yeah.
But Jim's right. The mob comes in and they look at NFL owners and they say, whoa, 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 whoa. We want no piece of you.
I'll tell you what. And are you guys in Lauderdale?
Yes, South Florida.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. What's a good bookstore in Lauderdale?
Well, I mean, outside of the Triple X bookstores that we frequent, I think there's still a Barnes and Noble. Yeah.
You can do Barnes and Noble. We'll do Barnes and Noble. Local Barnes and Noble, man. If you're listening, you head right in there today and buy them out. Buy the book out of all your friends. People will like this book. I'll tell you that.
All right, we have James Patterson and Mike Lupica. The book is House of Wolves, and it sounds great. And you two guys, obviously, if this personality is reflected in the writings in the book, it has to be a hit. It's a shame, really, that you couldn't get Strahan to come out and talk to you guys, because he's slobbering all over Prince Harry, like you said, and came out on the very same day. But
look at you! Look at you watching Good Morning America for Patterson and Lupica.
We were happy we didn't get Strahan. We like Mike, but still, he asks us questions that are like 4 minutes long, and it's a 4-minute piece that you got, so that's no good. We were happy that it turned out with
my old friend Robin Roberts. When she nearly ran across the studio to sit down yesterday, and
she's a lot prettier than Mike too.
No, we've been very lucky with the publicity we've gotten. We did Morning Joe. We were right to Morning Joe after being with Robin Roberts yesterday, and people are going to love this book. I defy anybody to read chapter 1 of this book and not want to keep going and stay with it till the end.
And this is a guarantee I'll make to anybody listening right now. If you don't like this book, I'll go to your house, I'll sit on the porch, and I'll eat the book page by page. Well, you never heard that guarantee before.
Dan Campbell was going to eat his playbook if he didn't beat the Packers, I believe. Page by page, that same proposition. He was going to do an outside naked at some bar in Green Bay.
Speaking of the Packers, my wife she's a Badger, and she actually was an All-American swimmer there. She's a big jock, and our wives, this is how good this book is. Our wives, both of them love this book, and they're tough. They're tough. They should have been wolves, both of them. And even more insane, Mike's mother-in-law. Mike's mother-in-law loves Mike, so it's a little biased, but even she loved this book. So,
sounds like a lot of fun.
The show?
No, that would be 0.0. My wife sees me, turns it right off. I mean, since we went to video streaming, it's been an ugly proposition.
She's probably heard enough of you,
No, she thinks I have and maybe you just heard an example of it. I have kind of a Pat Riley nervous, phony radio laugh, I guess. That she, thinks is not sincere, but it is. That's just the way I laugh.
All right. We love Pat. Great.
No, Pat's brilliant. Yeah, no doubt about it. Although Lubie, my partner here, thinks he has a real headache on his hand.
Right now.
Yeah, he has not quite. I was going to say he has not quite recovered from the Dion Waiters deal, where he gave $100 million to some guy who was horrible.
We both live not far from Fort Lauderdale, and so we consider ourselves South Floridians. Yeah.
Well, you can't go wrong. I was thinking last night, this might be the best section of the country.
Well, we have gone wrong.
You can be
went north for this tour. It was a big...
James Patterson, Mike Lupica with us. All right, Mike, if you don't mind, the state of New York sports today is what? I mean, you got Steve Cohn, spending money like he was Elon Musk on steroids.
Like he's
Wait.
You got the Giants, the Jets disaster.
Oh, wait a minute. Take a breath. Okay.
Yeah.
New York sports is great right now. The Yankees and the Mets won 200 games between them. There's not a losing record for any major sports team in New York. The Giants are back in the play. The only losing record is the Jets. Okay, and they were 7-4 a blink ago. For all the bad times we've had in New York sports for a while, things are pretty good right now and pretty exciting. The baseball teams are are both going to be terrific this year. No, it's a good time to be a New York sports fan.
I would think so. I know I started out in the newspaper business, and I have a great affinity for newspapers, Mike. And James, if you want to comment on this as well. I mean, is the industry dead? I mean, is it over? We just got boned out of a radio job about a year ago as they went with corporate decision making and decided no local programming in the South Florida market would be appropriate. Where does it stand right now with newspapers? Is this industry going to survive?
No, it's going to go to the internet. It'll go to the people will figure it out, and people want news. Obviously, they want news, and they're going to stop giving it away. Consider this period like a promotional period until they figure out how to make money off of it, and they will. And then it'll be all on the internet, or a lot of it will be on the internet.
Jim is a big newspaper reader every single morning, and I have to tell you something.
Yeah, I still read the Palm Beach Post, the USA Today, the Times, and the Wall Street Journal every morning.
And I listen, right now in my life, believe me, I have enough writing to do. I still write my Sunday column for the New York Daily News.
Oh, nice.
And the reason I do it is because that's where I came in. I still love doing it. I love the fact that people can go to the Sunday paper and still find Shooting for the Lip. And I have a blast doing it.
Oh, great column. It really is one of the all-time classics there around New York City. House of Wolves, the name of the book. James Patterson, Mike Lupica guesting with us. Gentlemen, it sounds like, I know, Mike, I mean, obviously you have a huge sports background. It sounds like, James, you have an affinity for the sporting life as well. Do you want to help us out with our 16 parlay? And if we hit this, we will buy all of the first printing.
Gamblers. No, call Gamblers Anonymous. Call them now. Call them as soon as you end this call.
Yeah, no, I have them on speed dial. Actually, this is a funny thing. My mother, who always wanted me to call her, actually would leave me a message and leave the number as 800 admitted.
Why don't you gamble with your friend instead? There it's like even odds.
Yeah, I don't know, because we like treachery and torture. I mean, that's the whole thing behind this, is it not?
That's the first step to recovery. You know that
Admitting it.
Yeah. But I mean, if you guys, you guys, both of you can sniff out a great story. I mean, with this Bills game against our Dolphins, I mean, isn't Damar Hamlin going to lead them out of the tunnel in this game? This would be like the Garrett speech.
One right now. Go Connecticut. NCAA final basketball, 16-1.
Is Tua going to play?
We don't know.
Okay.
We don't know if he's in town. We're not sure where he is. Nobody knows. Nobody's seen him.
Played very well in the snow that night, and I'm worried about this kid's future because the concussion thing is really becoming quite troublesome going forward.
Yeah. I mean, he's getting as fragile as I remember, did a lot of boxing, and, I went to shake hands with Arturo Gatti, and he started bleeding.
He did a lot of boxing. Okay, that explains.
No, right. Oh,
no, I didn't get hit in the head. I was just calling it a job.
With that.
Yeah, no.
Bury the list.
Yeah, no, seriously. Somebody answer that phone you hear ringing.
I think it's Smoking Joe Frazier trying to tell me you got jobbed on the decision in the second Ali fight. Hey, gentlemen, great stuff, and it was a lot of fun having you on the show. James Patterson and Mike Lupica, their book out, House of Wolves, sounds fascinating. You guys are both terrific. We can't thank you enough for joining us.
In Lauderdale and Miami, they got them in Miami too. Absolutely, wherever you're listening, they got bookstores.
Yes, books and books.
Books and books. Absolutely, Coral Gables.
All right, sounds great. Thanks, gentlemen. Thanks so much. I loved having you on the show. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate it. Mike Lupica, James Patterson. All right, that was fun. Lubie, what did you think?
I think it was fine. When you have two at once, it
Stuff,
feels like the conversation slows down actually, because no one knows when to talk, how to talk, and who to elaborate when.
Plus, we know nothing about the book, really. I mean, if you want to be honest about it. Except it sounded like it was about like a wild NFL team with mafia ties.
Yes.
All right. I mean, both of those guys brought it to the table in terms of personality. They were great.
Yeah, they were fun.
That was a lot of fun. All right. And that was also our After Hours on the Believe Podcast Network, where we tell you that you got to believe as we make our exit. And then we'll see you later on today, 12 o'clock, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. Wow, a quick turnaround for the kids. And we'll have that at 12 o'clock here on South Florida Live. Thanks very much, guys, for tuning in. I hope you were able to stay with us. For Lupica and James Patterson, thanks to Tony Segreto for joining us, Texas Roadhouse, Restaurants, Catholic Health Services, of course, Hialeah Park, and Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:25.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.